There's a grounding earthiness to this place that we feel in our ancestors. It's a place where, believe it or not, we evolved as a human species, and anyone who's come to Africa will understand that. The connectivity that the continent has to the person and to people's souls is next level. I am thoroughly looking forward to taking you on your next adventure when we explore all the small and big things.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth. If you love to watch WildEarth, then we are inviting you to join our Explorers program. For a monthly subscription, you will have the opportunity to win fantastic WildEarth expeditions. Join our guides for a chat around the fire, receive weekly highlights from our shows, and much more. All the money will go to keeping these live safaris on air, which in turn allows us to escape into nature every single day. Our first WildEarth Explorers competition has closed, and we have a winner. Congratulations to Chantal Sleep from Benoni in South Africa.
I felt totally overwhelmed for winning this prize. I will be taking my son with me, and I can't wait to share this experience with him.
Chantal and her son have won a behind-the-scenes WildEarth experience at the magnificent andBeyond Ngala tented safari camp. The prize includes a 3-night stay and a chance to sleep out in the unique Ngala treehouse.
I would like to thank WildEarth for making this dream come true, and I encourage everybody to subscribe, to become an explorer, and stand the chance to win these amazing prizes, and so much more.
For this month, we have a brand new prize. You could be jetting off to Tswalu in the Kalahari for a 3-night stay at the luxurious Motsi Lodge. Open to all WildEarth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is the call of desperation with a cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops. Oof.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
The clouds are finally parting, and hopefully it means that we're going to have a sunny, dry, beautiful afternoon out here in the northeastern corner of South Africa as Cyclone Eloise slowly kind of dissipates and her effects leave the area, which means that hopefully it's going to mean a chance for Steve and I to find all kinds of wonderful things. I'm going to try and see if I can follow up on Kuchava and the Cub. I think Steve's going to try and follow up on the Talamati Pride, and with it being a little bit drier, we can also access other parts of the reserve. So it should be a good afternoon here at Djuma. It also means that Pridelands, Ngala and Phinda should all be out this afternoon as well, which will be wonderful. But the conditions are good, and so without further ado, let's embark on this, your very own live African safari. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Djuma and to this afternoon sunset safari. We might even get a sunset today, which will be the most wonderful thing that we can ever have, given the last few days. My name is Tristan. On camera, I've got Paul this afternoon, and like I said just now, we're going to be on the search for Kuchava and the Cub. There's lots of tracks here for lions. Now, I don't know if Steve drove here this morning. I suspect that he did, but this is where they had their wildebeest kills over the course of the last few days. Nothing really left of it, which is not a surprise. I would have thought that this would have all been kind of cleared out and taken. Now, we are coming to you live, which means we want to hear from all of you, or would like to hear from all of you. Want is probably a strong way to put it. And you can ask us questions, you can have comments, you can get involved in the conversation. You can do so using hashtag WildEarth on Twitter, at FC on the YouTube chat, and in the comment sections of all the various other platforms that we are broadcasting to. Oh, look, there's the jaw of a wildebeest. Two jaws, left and right, lying in the road. You can see on the left-hand side and then the other one on the right. It's quite a macabre thing to have when you're kind of driving down the road and looking for kind of alive things, and you just come across jawbones with bits of meat on them. So this is a jaw from one of the skulls. I mean, we know there was 3 different kills here, so it could be any one of those 3 wildebeest. That's the sort of jaw that's been, bottom jaw that's been separated and broken. Probably find hyenas have dragged this around and kind of moved it all over the place. In a weird sort of twist of events as well, poor Tswalu is getting some rain now. We've traded sunshine with them, and so hopefully they'll be out at some point during the afternoon, but it might take a little bit of a while because it is starting to rain that side. Now, talking about rain and kind of weather conditions, we have the weather for all of our various locations for those of you that are interested. Have all the weather for each of the locations, which we will do at the start of the afternoon safaris. I know a lot of you really enjoy seeing what the weather is and what's going on. Sorry, I just need to come back a little bit just to see something quickly. There is a lion right there, so we'll get Steve to come this side because I know he's looking for them. I'm not going to stay with them, but there is a lioness that's lying right over there with her legs in the air. She's kind of hiding out in the shade, so she's kind of taking it easy and doing what lions do. These lions I don't think are going to move too much today. After the meal that they've had and being kind of wet, and then on top of it, the kind of the sun that's come out, I think they're full fat damp, and they're just going to enjoy a bit of sunshine, relaxing and putting the feet up for the afternoon. Maybe this evening we'll start to see them coming out. I think that they'll probably try and kind of move around this evening, maybe hunt again on quarantine. Talking about Steve, we don't have any game drive radios because of the weather, so the final control will have to let him know, but let's send you across to him to say good afternoon, and hopefully he'll head this side to come take over with these lines. Good afternoon, and welcome everybody to the other side of the river. Hello, how are you doing? My name is Steve. I'm joined by Theo on camera, and we are very excited to be out and about. Now, I came all the way around to get the other side of Wetland Dam and the river so that we could find the lions. Now it seems like they didn't cross the river altogether. So we're just having a little look around, climb on top of the Terma Mount, have a bit of a scan, fair bit of elephant activity around, but it is very, very wet still. It's going to be no off-road driving. Have a look at how even this Termite Mound, the soil, is turned to just crumbly stuff. So I'll show you elephant activity. There's some just next to the vehicle over there. Let's hope I don't fall. Quickly down we go. Everything is very soft now. Reasons why the insects come out, the termites come out for breeding. And you'll see a lot of elephant activity this time of year, looking for all sorts of weird and wonderful bits. And here an elephant is dug with his feet. You can clearly see the elephant track over here. And another one over there. The elephant stood here and dug all of this up, and he pulled up a tuber, which he then ripped to pieces and then ate. That's very, very fresh. So elephants would probably be able to smell that under the ground and go, ooh, I know what I'm looking for, and would crush that. I wonder, I can't really tell what tuber it might be. There's little bits more over here. So he would have broken it, ripped it, put it in his mouth, and then dropped this down, because he's not looking for this bark, he's looking for the inside, but almost like a potato or an onion, should we say. But this ecologically here is quite important. Now the elephant is going to disturb the environment. Oh, lo and behold, the disturbance. This grass has been displaced. You can actually see the roots of the grasses are very shallow, called adventitious roots. Grasses are very shallow roots to the surface, so they don't do very well with deep rain. That's where the trees come in. But grasses, very, very shallow, so they catch nice, soft rain. They're designed for binding the soil. But this fellow, he's been killed by the elephant, so I might just go and put him over here, just help him out a little bit. We won't tell anybody that I'm influencing here. But what he's also gone and done is this whole disturbance factor over here. He's pretty much done a hole, and look how much the sediment has been displaced. Now, there are ants that are moving around, there's seeds that can get deposited, so there's a natural disturbance that's happening here, created by an elephant, and we call them ecosystem engineers. Not only do they damage the vegetation, they also alter the ground, they alter the structure, they alter all sorts of things in their just natural feeding styles and abilities. So this is fresh, this happened after the rain, when the soil's nice and soft, and it's a time when you'll see a lot of this happening. Elephants looking for the roots and the nutrients and the bulbs that they provide. It's a little bit harder to dig when the ground's very, very soft. So if you ever try to do any gardening, a good time to do so is after some rain, because the ground is much, much softer. Okay, so we are going to get back on the car. We have crossed, so we're on the other side now. So that was the plan, was to see if we could find out where the Telematis had gotten to. But I don't think they're going to be going very far, so I'm sure I'll get a message shortly telling me exactly where they are. But in the meantime, we're at this side. We might as well continue on, see what we can find. I know Tristan is quite keen to follow up on Kuchava and her son from this morning. But we've got the whole concession to check out this morning. Lindsay, you're happy to see the sun. When Tristan came out, I asked him, what is that? The blue sky. I haven't seen one in a few days. Oh no, there's a tree over. I'm not going to be able to move that. Let's just slowly go around and we'll get that sorted out. But with the blue sky is coming a very warm sun as well, which is lovely. It's going to really dry things up, and you're going to see the vegetation start to sort of shimmer from the photosynthesis that's going to take place. And there's going to be enormous amounts of growth in our trees, flowers and plants. But we're going to continue on doing some ecological discussions this afternoon. Meantime, I'll send you back over somewhere over there, Mr. Tristan. Well, I know Steve is on his way this side, so we're not going to stay with these guys, but some of the Pride members, female with some of the sub-adults, is on the road. They're heading to where that other lioness is. This is the female that picked up the injury in the hunt. She's got the little gash on the inside right leg. But they, I think, have come out of the riverbed for water, and they're now going to walk along the road and walk past us towards where Steve is. Now, unfortunately, as much as I would love to get out your way, guys, it's so wet that if I go off the road, I'm going to make a big rut, whereas you guys have nice big paws, so you don't have to worry so much about going around us. Hey, guys. So amazing when they walk this close that you can actually hear their breathing as they come past. Shame they're getting hot now with the conditions. Can actually hear them panting as they kind of come past us. And it's because they're getting warm on top of the full belly that they've got, the sun coming out. The humidity is very, very, very high this afternoon. It feels hot and close, and that's why they're panting. And they're going to go join that other lioness. They're not going to move too far. So like I say, we're going to leave it to Steve. Turning here is also going to be a bit of an issue. It's not a great section of Tundams Road. I'm sure Steve will come back and get them. They're lying down in the shade further on down the road. But it was cool just to have them walking by. Unfortunately, this is the problem with the current conditions at the moment, is that, poor Steve was trying to go all the way around, because this morning he had them going down towards the Milwaukee and he thought that they were going to go towards Gowrie Cut Line. And so he wanted to go all the way around to follow up on them, but now he's got to come all the way back because you can't actually cross the Milwaukee anywhere. It's not like a normal just little hop over the Milwaukee and come this side. All right, we're going to carry on. Let's and see if we get some luck with our lioness. Leopardess and cub. In the meantime, though, I'd send you across to Phinda to say good afternoon.
Well, welcome everybody. We're here with this beautiful little herd of impala that's just started to move off down the slope towards some thicker area. But welcome aboard. It's lovely to have you all with us today. My name is Ross, and behind the camera today is Glenn, and today the plan is to go off and see what we can find. It's been quite a rainy few days here at Phinda, and as a result we don't really know, we don't have an idea where any of the animals have been this morning or yesterday. So this is one of the more exciting times to be on drive, because you literally could bump into anything at any time and you never know when. So I think our plan today is to head towards the setting sun in the west, towards the west, and go in search of maybe some rhino, maybe some buffalo herds, and if we get lucky, maybe some cats as well. Just over my shoulder you can see also a few warthogs. There we go. That one that you can just see with its back protruding from the grass looks like it's on her knees, maybe nuzzling around in the ground for something to eat, maybe a tuber, maybe some roots. And I did spot one or two other youngsters behind her. So at this time of the year, most of the warthogs, or most female warthogs that are of breeding age, would have given birth somewhere around November. So there's quite a few youngsters around. And not only warthogs, there's also young impalas that are still with the herd, that are about 3 or 4 months old. There's lots of new life. And after the rain as well, it's so evident to see just this green flush in all the plants. You can see, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but there's all these insects around that have come up after the rains, these flying ants or termites. And after the rain, when most animals would put a brief pause on their activity, they won't feed or move around too much when it's raining. And after the rain, so this kind of time, you'll see them taking the opportunity to do their feeding, walking around, marking their territory. So that's what we're going to look for animals doing today. We're going to send you off to another live location while we continue and see what someone else has got for you.
Thank you, Ross. Well, we've caught up with the elephants that were probably doing the digging. And we've got a brand spanking little baby there in the middle. Oh, it's so cute. Now, what's interesting is the big female on the left has got a collar, a research collar. I was involved in a number of the collarings of elephants in the Timavati back in 2006-7, where they were trying to do research on the movement of herds, breeding herds and bulls. And obviously you want to put a collar on the big female. It's a GPS collar and a telemetry collar so you can find them. But what it does is it indicates and sets through maps of the movement of these animals, seasonality, times, distance, and it's sent through enormous amount of information for conservation organizations such as Save the Elephants. I was helping with some PhD students in 2007 for an organization called Tembo Project. And I learned an enormous amount about elephant behavior from them. And it's been a while since I've seen a female with a collar. So interesting to see how they'll move. Let's keep up with them. See if we can get you another view of that little baby. The baby's very cute. So the herd is a little bit protective of the baby, which is obvious. It's necessary. They're just giving me little signs, but we won't go too close. And those subtle signs are very important. And we've spoken about this before. Okay, we know elephants in the Sabi sands are quite relaxed, but today there's a very small youngster, and the breeding herd's got a slightly different temperament. It doesn't mean that they're being aggressive, not by any means, but it means that they're saying, okay, that's close enough, and then you need to respect those boundaries, which of course we are doing. I'm just going to pull up here slightly and see if we can get that little bubba once again, who is attached to Mum's side. Oh, hello, Mama. Ah, there, that's a youngster that's giving me the head shake. And they're hiding behind a bush. Of course they are. Move up just half a meter. Leanne, yes it is. Let's see if we can get it again. It's just in front of this one. There it is on the right. Oh, it's still got fur on the body. How special is that? Very, very special. And like that, the herd has vanished. So we'll carry on. Leave them to their wanderings into the thickets here. And Tristan was saying that he found more of the lions, and they're being a little bit more active than anticipated for this time of day. So I'm actually going to slowly head back there. My whole initial plan was to get to the other side of the river to see where they were going to, and they just went into the river and came out again, exactly where I left them, or where they went in this morning. So active lions is always fun. You can see that the road, it's a very sandy road, but the seep lines and the water is still streaming down the road. Colleen, elephants can breed at any time. Bearing in mind their gestation period is 22 months. You'll often find females coming into estrus sort of in the summer months, sort of now between March, April, May. Most females will come into estrus. That's when you find most of your big dominant bulls coming to estrus for those 3 sort of months. And then 22 months later, falling in December, January, majority of young elephants are born. It's not always the case. You don't have every elephant born at that time, but a lot of females want to have their babies when the vegetation is like this. There's plenty of food. They don't have to go very far. There's water everywhere. One of the biggest stress factors for breeding herds of elephants is maintaining enough moisture, moving to get moisture, and sustain enough food. That mother needs very high quality food in relation to what she's used to having so that she can produce enough milk for her youngster and enough nutrients for herself. So that you'll see definite peaks in the summer months with many species that have timed their breeding like that. Obviously in places like the Mara, it's a very different story because they got 2 peaks. So sort of that cycle will be a little bit all over the place. But as here, you will see that generally we'll start seeing quite a few of the females being very heavily pregnant at the moment. A herd we saw the other day, at least 2 of the females looked very heavily pregnant. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't drop soon. And you'll slowly start seeing in the next month or 2 the big dominant bulls starting to move into this area, having also gained enormous amount of condition because of the summer, and then they can come into must, which they then can sustain for a solid period of about 3 months. The big dominant bulls. Out of season, your younger bulls can come in out of must, and they can mate with females that haven't timed their breeding cycle as well as some of the older females perhaps have done. Blessings for the sun being just behind a small patch of cloud. It's taken away that sting. Now we're coming around the corner to where, I don't know if any of you remember, about this time last year, we had that herd of buffalo that Tingana was stalking. And he was actually looking to go for one of the young buffalo calves, which eventually he did do, but he made such a sham of it that he ended up not doing very well and it escaping. But we spent a long time with him. Tingana's the Duke of Djuma, a big dominant male that we've seen around. I haven't seen him in months. Wouldn't that be something, Theo, to see Tingana today? You never know what we might find around the corner, but for now we're going to head on over to the lions around the dam cam and Gowrie Dam itself.
It would be nice to catch up with Tingana. Steve's in the right area from where Tingana was yesterday. So maybe he'll come out. As you can see, we've got something that Tingana used to hunt a lot more than he does now. He hasn't had one of these for a while as far as we know, but this is one of the male leopard's favorite snacks, is a little piglet. And this one's pretty curious. It initially ran away from us, but now that we've been parked off for a while, it's coming back. I think it wants to come and drink and roll around in the muddy road. And you can see that the warthogs have stopped using mud wallows and are now using the roads to mud wallow. It just gives you an idea of how much water is actually on some of these roads at the moment. I also think a lot of them are drinking from the roads because it's beautiful clean water that's seeping onto the roads at the moment. It's running through the crests out the seep line and has been filtered really nicely, so it's as pure and as fresh water as you could possibly get. So for drinking purposes, it's also really nice. We saw the other night with the Talamatis when they were on that kill that a lot of them actually wanted to drink from the road itself to utilize that cleaner water rather than having to stress about going to mud wallows and places where there could be crocodiles, as well as dirty kind of muddy water that's filled up those dams from all the kind of flooding that's taken place. So nice to kind of see this warthog at least not panicking as well and it coming closer to us because of that water on the road. And it's a young warthog. There's another one behind it. They're slowly but surely coming out of the bush. Generally they're a little bit shy, but as soon as they kind of think that you're not worried about them, then they sort of come out and are a little bit more curious of what's going on. Hey guys. a little piglet there too. You can see the tiny little one in the grass. You can just make out its back through all the grass. That's a piglet that was probably born fairly early. It's already quite big compared to some of the others that I've seen. Oh, there's another little piglet. Super cute. Three little bottoms running through the long grass. A small warthog really is one of the sweetest little things, but unfortunately they get hunted heavily. All right, we're going to carry on. We'll leave these guys to themselves. Hopefully we'll have some luck with the predators that like to hunt these guys. Welcome back, everybody, to the wetlands of Djuma, where you can clearly hear by the water how much rain has fallen. All of the seep lines are overflowing. We're not going to be able to access a fair amount of the reserve. Oh, sorry, Theo. Yeah, this whole time. When I see a warthog, there's a baby warthog and an adult warthog. So that, oh, it's gone. Theo nearly fell off the car there. Sorry, Theo. The warthogs would have had him if he'd fallen off. It would have been, I would have got my camera out and started filming. I'm only joking. The warthogs would have run away. They stood there going, and then as soon as we reversed back, they ran off. It was a mum with her little baby. Like the baboons yesterday that Tristan and I want to try to track on the dam cam. Very hard for warthogs at the moment because the grass is above their eyes. Warthogs naturally can probably live up to, now I might not be 100% right here, probably, I actually have no idea the exact lifespan of a warthog, but I don't think many of them live to very old age because of the fact that, well, they get eaten by almost everything. Lion and leopard specifically, I wouldn't say everything. The young warthogs, after the rains we've had, have a very, very low chance of survival due to the fact that the burrows get flooded. But if they have bred and the youngsters are able to move and carry on, then there's a very good chance that they'll be out and about. And that little one was small, but it's on its own with mum, which means that maybe there was more. But after these rains, the burrows which keep them safe are inaccessible, or the youngsters can't get out and potentially even drown. I don't think they're very long-lived though. 10 years, I'd say, is probably a good age for a warthog. Oh, hello, beautiful kudus. That's what's going to happen. We've got a sighting to go to, and all the animals that we've been looking for have decided it's time to come out and showcase their beauty. And it's quite interesting, everybody, because this morning we found the lions on the road to the dam, where 50 yards away they'd fed upon 3, maybe 4 wildebeest over 2 days. And then they walked up to quarantine and they walked all the way back to where they made the kills. That was a very interesting sort of roundabout route that they did. Instead of going 50 meters back to where they started, they did a whole kilometer route around. Gave us some wonderful shots, gave us some wonderful things to look at. But these kudu, who have also sustained or survived the rain, are now thoroughly enjoying a little bit of sunshine. But they know the predators are around, and they also know how vulnerable many of them and animals are because of the long grass. Even look how tall the grass is next to the kudu, and kudus are very big. The birds are out in song, the Cape turtle dove. Right, so these females here are pretty fully grown, probably in the region of 170 to 200 kilograms, big kudu bull. The females are similar sort of weight to that of a lioness. So they're pretty heavy, the region of 130 to 140 kilograms, but males get heavier, obviously. And they can jump 3 meters easily. No problem at all. They are the second largest of the family, the eland being much larger. Big eland bull can get up to a ton, metric ton, but they don't generally, the rest of the family don't generally get that size. But there's only one predator that can tackle a big eland, and that is lions. And when they do jump on them, they're very, very hard to bring them down. But right now, the kudus are just going about their day, and they get most of their moisture from the vegetation they eat. They would have no need to have gone to a watering hole, to a dangerous area where the lions are once again lying up, opportunistically hoping for some more food. Let the prey come to us. And I have no doubt that by later this afternoon, they'll probably come back up onto these open areas and scare the life out of all the general game once more. They are, Leopard Girl. They are definitely one of my favorites. They are very, very elegant, and they look really, really interesting with their huge ears. But there's just something very spectacular about the elegance of the horns of the males, how they spiral, beautiful elegance, and they just seem like such gentle creatures. They make a very loud bark when they see a leopard or a lion. And she has decided that she wants to have a poo. You see the white underside of the tail. When they run, they turn their tail up, which helps them to follow each other, stay together as a group. Oh, Theo's going to get hit on the head by a marula. So I always love the lips of the kudus. It looks like they've had their mouth in a milkshake. A very, very foamy vanilla milkshake. No straws in the animal kingdom, everybody. Not even eco straws. The woodland kingfisher shouting. You'll have many of the birds re-establishing territories because with storms like this, it is very likely that many of the birds, the territorial holding birds, have lost territory, have been killed, either through exposure or through predation in the form of snakes or genets or any other type of predator. And so they'll wake up once the sun shines and they'll be going, I'm still here, stay away. And any non-breeding individuals will quickly move into an area that is not being claimed. Okay, well, we're going to carry on. We have got lines to get to. They're not far away. It's actually very easy. Kudus, first of all, are very big, and they're generally grey all over. They're grey with those white stripes, whereas Ngala have got sort of the same sort of orangey colour as an impala does. They've got the same stripes, but they are much smaller, and they've got the orange colour to them. And the male kudu are the same colour as females. They've got the horns that spiral, whereas male Ngala are bigger than the female Ngala, but they've got a very chocolatey brown sort of colour, very shaggy coat, and they've got very long orange socks, which makes it very easy to identify. Kudu are grey, Ngala are orange, and the males are brown with orange socks. But they are easily confused. We've got a spexed, hinged tortoise in the road who just wants to say, oh no, that looks like a terrapin. Sounds like a terrapin. What's he doing here?
Everybody's out and about after the rains, exploring and trying to find their way about, but now he's gone and hidden. And we'll continue on. While we drive on down the road, I believe we're going to be sending you over to my good friend Tristan, who's heading south. I wonder if he's having any luck relocating on his pair of leopards.
No, not yet, Steve. We haven't quite gotten to where those leopards are at this stage. We're still here with the Mulawati River in the most beautiful little spot. This is the crossing, so we're actually in the river itself, but there's a concrete crossing, which means I can actually come here and don't have to worry about getting stuck and just sit and listen to the water trickling down the riverbed. I'm going to keep quiet so you can hear it. It's so peaceful in here and so pretty as well, with a little bit of sunlight too. Don't know why the sort of flow of water and trickling and this always makes you feel very calm and kind of relaxed. Unless, of course, you've drank too much water, then you're probably feeling less calm at the sound of water trickling past the car. That might lead you to want to go to the bathroom. But that's looking downstream into Little Gowrie. It's a very, very pretty little section of the Mulawati, this. Now, can you imagine how cool it would be in this particular shot, as if you had a pride of lions or a leopard or an elephant walking up that riverbed or trying to cross the riverbed with that green frame and the water running. I think it'd be an absolutely beautiful, beautiful scene. Ellie's probably would do it more than any of the others, or Buffalo, but maybe we'll get lucky in the next couple of days, because it's not going to run for much longer. I reckon within the next 3-4 days we'll see this settling right down to a trickle rather than an actual running river like you're seeing right now. And it's not very deep at all. I mean, you can see there's quite a few little sand banks in there. It's only probably running, I would say, maybe about 3 inches, 4 inches deep at the moment. Yeah, somewhere around there. 10 centimeters, 15 centimeters. It's not very, very deep at all at the moment. There will be little furrows and channels that have developed due to the flow of water, but it really won't be much, and it's dropped already since this morning, since I was here. We came through here this morning and it was definitely much higher than what it is now. Pretty though. All right, let's carry on. I'm also quite curious to try and figure out, I don't know if Steve... quite curious to know if it's a cow from the Elephants Alive program, which is basically a monitoring. I want to just try and see if I can get... I've got a little booklet of it. Sorry, I'm just trying to get stuff out that's been damp, so that we don't get all wet. And I wonder if she's around. Let me find her quickly. Here she is. I wonder if it wasn't Summer that maybe was around. I'm not sure. Maybe some of you that got screenshots, if he did show the one with the collar, maybe it's her. She comes into the Sabi Sands. Is pretty much the only one that they have collared that moves around. You can see here's her core territories north of us, but the Sabi Sands sits where my finger is here, and you see the sort of shaded yellow that comes down into that area. So I wonder if it's not her. Maybe if we just kind of pan up so that people can see which one it is. She's got very short little tusks, not very long, and then a nick in her right ear. So maybe those of you that are interested can have a look back at the footage and see if it's not Summer. She was first collared in 2005, which is pretty interesting, and first sighted in 2003. Okay, I'm going to carry on. Sounds like Steve has managed to find the Telemates, so let's send you back to him.
Well, thanks, Tristan. We were on our way down and we bumped into them on their way up. So I reversed back to give us some space to allow them to come up. They are on their way up to quarantine, but now they've decided the sun has burst through the clouds once more, and there's a bit of a sting to it. So I'm going to move up and get you a closer view, because it seems as if they've decided to
go stationary again. It's always nice to position yourself so that the lions will walk past. But we found them right here this morning. Right here. So they've gone all the way around. Oh, one's coming. I think I'm going to wait. If she comes, the rest are going to come. They just can't help themselves. It's pride mentality. They're going to go and give the impala and the kudus a hard time. So pretty much where this female is now, in about 30 meters, 20 meters, that's where we found the pride lying up this morning. So I've had it many times in the past when I've spent an entire evening with lions from sunset to sunrise. Oh, she's going to enjoy a different patch of shade. Sunset to sunrise, and then when the other guides got back to me in the morning and found the lions pretty much the same place, they said, oh, these lions are so lazy. But the lions had walked extremely far. They'd killed 6 animals. They'd moved. They just ended up back in the same spot. Okay, well, it seems like the shade was saturated, and she wanted a bit of her own space. Problem is, when you do end up on the road where you've had lions already, as with this morning, you've just got to make sure that there's no landmines, if you know what I mean. I think you do. So they were right here this morning. And that's as good as we're going to be able to do for now. I think they also were quite excited about the fact that the sun went behind that cloud. And now they went, oh, hang on, it's hot. So 3 days in a row, they're within a 50-meter radius. It's quite interesting, isn't it? 50-meter radius. The dam cam probably saw them all walking a moment ago. Donnie, there are 14 lions here. 14. 2 of them I know are 2 young boys. I forget the makeup of the adults, but I think it's 8. 8 adults. Tristan had 8 on the kills 2 nights before, and then the cubs arrived. Or the sub-adults. It's hard to tell them apart sometimes. The boys, it's easy. The girls, you can see it when you look hard enough, but they're all approaching maturity. And the boys, obviously, you can tell their size is big enough, as big as the lionesses, but due to the main development, you can see that they're not fully mature yet. Okay, very good. Well, we're going to be sending you down towards the south and the east, towards andBeyond Phinda. You say good afternoon.
Well, welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, everyone. And we have come across this incredible herd of zebra here on this beautiful grassy hillside. And just have a look at all the different individuals. In the middle of your screen at the moment is a tiny, tiny, tiny foal that's just trying to suckle from its mother. Look at that. And you see how the little foal has to bend almost down to get underneath and find its mother's teat. It's probably just getting to the end of the period where it'll suckle. As soon as it can't reach underneath there, it'll start to eat grass, just like the rest of these zebras are doing. And we might find that the zebra tries a little bit of grass in between trying to suckle from its mother as it's weaning itself off. But how beautiful is that little youngster? But what I find most amazing about this herd is that on Phinda we generally don't see big herds of zebra like this during the most part of the year. We'll generally see family groups of 5 or 6, maybe up to 8. But in this particular area where there has been so much rain and this beautiful flush of grass of late, it seems like there's maybe 3 or 4 family groups that have come together, and they're all furiously feeding on this beautiful green grass. If you look at them, almost all of them have got their heads down and they're munching away. Very, very peaceful scene. Look how their tails switch to flick away flies every now and again. Oh, I don't know if you can see there, but there's one stallion that looks like he's mounting a mare at the moment. How amazing is that? They're actually mating. Sure, and quick as that is how long it usually takes for a copulation. He might mate with her once or twice or 3 times, but it doesn't take very long. It's very much without ceremony. He'll mount her, and 3 or 4 seconds and it'll be finished. So that might be a dominant stallion of one of the family groups here. But because there's 3 or 4 different families here, maybe he's taking the opportunity to mate with other females that he usually wouldn't have the opportunity to mate with or wouldn't normally come across. And I think that might be what we were just seeing there, one of the more dominant bulls in this group, asserting his dominance and mating with some different female. Oh, and you see how they're all a little bit on edge there. A couple of them are aiming a kick at a few others, just jostling for each other's space. They might be a little bit uneasy being in such close proximity to zebras that they usually wouldn't see. But in general, everyone is mostly just focused on eating and feeding. And it's been a very hot day here at Phinda, so during the heat of the day, I would imagine that most of these zebras would have probably been resting under a tree, and they are now taking the opportunity to come out and feed. We might stick with these zebras for a little bit more to see if anything interesting happens here. You can see some more fascinating interactions, but we're going to send you off to Tristan now with some elephants.
Hopefully you do. I mean, we've got a herd of ellies that's just approaching us, and there are elephants everywhere this afternoon. I think with the sun coming out, they're all coming out too. Literally the entire way from Djuma to where we are now, which is just on the fringe of Chitwa, has been elephant after elephant after elephant after elephant. And some of them, obviously, we haven't stopped for because they're so deep in the bush and walking away, all we can see is their bum. These guys, however, have come right close to where we are. Hey, cool. Now, what? You've just noticed that we're here. We've been with them for a good solid 5 minutes, so I'm surprised that she's all of a sudden realized that we're here. Young ellies sometimes can be funny. Look at this. Look at this one's going to feed on the pods right here of the silver cluster leaf. Amazing. I'm actually going to keep quiet because the audio of them with their flapping ears is super cool to hear. Amazing when they just walk past you like that. You can hear their feet scraping on the ground, you can hear their ear flap, and you can see the difference between older and younger cow. Older cow, she just goes right past us, she's not worried. Young cow, she doesn't want to be, and she moves, and she kind of has a little bit more of a sort of timid demeanor, whereas that older cow, she just walked straight past us and gone. There's ellies all the way down to the Mulawanini as well. I can see from here that they're going downhill. There's another one that's coming on our left-hand side here. There's literally ellies all over the place at the moment. It's amazing. I love it when we have these elephant paloozas where there's just literally elephants everywhere you look. It provides endless entertainment. I think sitting with elephants has got to be one of the most life-changing things that somebody can do on a safari, particularly if you just sit quietly and enjoy it. So you just turn off and you listen and you take in the sounds, and you just watch the behavior. Because with elephants, when you drive into a herd or you come across a herd, it's probably a better way to put it, not because you don't really want to drive into the herd, but when you come across a herd, a lot of the time that unsettles them slightly for a little bit. So they're very aware that this big object has arrived, a large object has arrived that's noisy. And so they kind of watch what's going on. But as soon as you turn off and you just settle down for a while, eventually they start to kind of just ignore you. They realize that you're not there to do them any harm, and they're quite happy just to sort of move around you. And then you start to see the behavioral aspects of elephants come out. You start to watch them as they interact with one another, as they interact with the environment, and all the really great parts about elephant viewing starts to come out. You'll see them drinking, you'll see them playing, you'll see them dust bathing, you'll see them communicating with one another. And so long periods with elephants can teach you a lot about the species, and they're just fascinating. I absolutely love watching what they feed on and how that changes as they move up and down the slopes that we have here. So when I say slopes, I'm talking about the kind of katinas that we have, so from drainage to seep to crest. And as they do that, their diet changes and shifts according to what plants they're coming across, how seasonably they change their diets. It's not always just about bark and trees. It's sometimes all about grass. Then other times, like now, it's all about the marula fruit, and everything kind of constantly changes with them. And I find a lot of people don't absorb that when they're with elephants. They get very overawed by it, which is understandable. It's a very big animal, and when it's close by, it does take your breath away. But if you can just sit in for 5 minutes, wherever you go, if you do get into a sighting with Ellies, just to take them in and enjoy what you're hearing and what you're seeing with your own eyes, rather than kind of freezing almost in fear or trying to take photos of everything. I think that's the one big thing, is I often see people in elephant herds, just all they're doing is taking photos and sometimes not actually experiencing the magic that is being in an ellie herd, and disconnecting from technology for a few minutes as you sit with them. I'm hoping this herd's actually going to go down to Chitwa Dam. They look like they're slowly angling towards the dam itself, and I'm quite keen to go and see what the dam looks like after all this rain. I suspect that it must be full. And maybe we can even find some little catfish spawning action on the outflow. All right, talking about ellies, it's time to send you guys across to Prideland so they can say hello after a few days hiatus, and they're obviously in the land of elephants that side.
Good afternoon and welcome to Eco Training Pridelands. We just were looking at the bronze-wing courser. Unfortunately, it flew off, but we would have absolutely loved to have shown it to you. My name is JP LaRue, and behind the camera we've got Gerrit. We're just going to see if we can maybe relocate on him, just to drive off a short while, see if he's maybe landed back on the road. Seems that our Corsa has unfortunately flown off. Most of them are actually nocturnal, and we generally find that they like open areas in most species. What I also find quite fascinating is if you can locate their nests, which is normally quite well hidden, the eggs especially are so beautifully and cryptically coloured, blending perfectly in with the environment. And seems he's gone. We're going to continue and see what we can find.
insane is that animal?
This is out of this world. Fantastic. Good, Mama.
Wow, what a way to start off.
It's just such an incredible privilege to be out here. It just keeps on delivering.
There you go, there you go. Heart is pumping right now.
3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Look at this, everybody. We've got a live kill.
The cock's holding the tail. It's holding tight. Lucky wildebeest.
There's nowhere to go. This is a disaster in the making.
Something that I have never seen before in my entire life that you are now watching live.
My heart is in my mouth, everybody.
Look at this. It's gonna make it. It's going, it's going.
This is just too magical. Hi, little guys. That's great, isn't it? Look at that. Scuba Steve has got a friend.
You've got a friend in me.
It couldn't be a better morning. This is just too special.
Oh my goodness, we've got a turtle.
How epic is the fact that we're coming to you live from the Chobe River?
It's the most incredible feeling to be here. This is live and we're in Rwanda. This is a very, very different adventure, charged with emotion.
I did not think I would ever face my fears like this.
My name is Ross, and I'm a field guide at andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on WildEarth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
As you can see, there's a bit of cuteness overload. There's a tiny newborn baby in amongst us. It's not that one that you're seeing now. It's a very small one, I would imagine only a few days old, that's hidden in the grass. You can't really see it nicely, but there's one that's lying down playing with one of the babies, and we had another one now that just slipped and fell on the road, trying to come down the slope, and it's so slippery with all the sort of runoff that its feet gave way underneath it, and it ended up face first into the road. It was very comical, albeit the elephant didn't seem very happy about it. It seemed to get up. Luckily, none of the others were around to point and laugh, and we were very good. We didn't try and laugh too much either. But you can see they're having a little game on the floor. It's quite common to see ellies pushing each other around and lying down. I wonder where that tiny little one has gone. We had a brief view of it, just kind of hiding out close to its mom. Very small baby, but it seems to have disappeared on us. Let me try and roll forward a little bit because we're on a nice slope, so we should be able to roll just a little bit. There's an ellie that's here in the shade. Maybe this little one has gone into the shade here somewhere. No, that's the bull. I don't see where it's gone. Maybe it's laid down in the grass. It was very small. Could also have just disappeared. The grass is so long at the moment that it's possible the little baby somehow found its way moving. There's a smaller one, well, not a smaller one, but a small one over there. Maybe it was that one. I just can't see nicely with this grass being as long and the trees kind of obscuring our view. Maybe now, let's see, when that female crosses the road behind the male, maybe we'll have visual of a little baby coming out there. There's a few females that walked in that direction. When they, oh goodness, boys are going to be causing trouble. This male, you can see, he's sniffing all of the females and trying to test if they're in estrus. It's a common thing for bulls to do, is to walk up to females and harass them. And you see how she just kind of turns her whole body just to basically say, no, leave me alone, I don't want to be involved with you. A bit of a shake of the head. She might come and sniff where he urinated and defecated in order just to figure out who he is and what he's doing. It's very common practice to watch elephants sniff the urine and dung of others. It tells them a lot about their various herd mates, as well as if it's a bull, his age, where he comes from. Here comes one of the little ones. It's not the one that I saw, though. Cute either way. It's still very small. Now you see it's at the dung as well. Often with ellies, little baby elephants like this, they'll eat the dung. So not normally bull's dung like that. They often eat their mom's dung, and that helps with them getting good gut bacteria that they get from their mom, and it will help them with their digestion early on, and make sure that their gut is functioning correctly as they get a little bit older. Cool, isn't it? I mean, it's obviously not a nice thing to do. I mean, glad that as humans we don't have to do these things, and, there's other ways and means to get it. But for an ellie, it's a clever system that they've got, the transference of gut bacteria from mom to offspring is pretty efficient due to that process. I wonder where that little one went. Maybe just, like I say, the grass is just so long that it's just disappeared in there. I'm afraid I think that's the case. All right, we're probably going to leave these ellies now. We're right where we had Kushava and the cub this morning, so we're going to try and see if we can find her. In the meantime, let's send you across to Steve, who's got his cats already.
How special. Brand new little elephants around and about, and it's because of prides of lion like this that often you'll get elephant herds being a little bit overprotective. We heard that herd of elephant we were with before, not far from here, making some very loud noises. Their babies are very susceptible to predation by lion, but when they're that small, they won't venture very far. Mum won't let them very far from her side, and you'd have to be a very, very brave bunch of lions to try and isolate a baby elephant from its mother. So we've got 3 of the adult lionesses have moved past us, and then majority of the youngsters and the younger lionesses are still here. Here comes another adult on the left who's going to get up. It's always the adults that lead the charge, that lead the movement. And here comes another one. I think she's an adult. She's just on the left of screen. I wonder what they're going to get up to, how they're going to try and catch some food this afternoon. It's a bit early in the day for us to normally see them being active, but as we've seen, weather has a major part to play in the activity of lions. If it's cool and overcast, you'll see them being very active. Okay, see here, looks like another adult. She doesn't look like she's an old girl, like 2 of the girls we saw walk past. The one with the purple eye in this pride is a very old girl. She's battle-scarred. We saw a lioness walk past who, I think someone asked me this morning about the injury on a lioness. We had a lioness with a flap of skin dangling on the inside of her right front leg. Is that the one we're talking about? It looked very painful, but she wasn't limping in any way. Here comes a youngster. You can just tell by the size. We've been blessed. I've seen the Telematis more in the last 2 days than I've seen them before in total. I've only seen them twice before. Once on Buffelshoek boundary and once on Buffelshoek. We tracked them, but we weren't able to broadcast because of being quite a signal dip. Now this looks like another seemingly adult, but now you can see the spots on the legs. Often a good indication of the youngness of a lion. Still got very spotty legs. What have you smelt there? they've uncovered a water pipe, which they think is a snake. One just pulled it and they all jumped. We have water pipes in a few places in the reserve for accessing water, bringing it from the low-lying areas, also for filling up watering holes. And the erosion has washed away the surface water, the surface sort of sediment that was hiding that pipe. So it will get sorted out, everybody. It's not a major issue. I don't think that's the water that comes to our camp, which means we will have showers later. But see the inquisitiveness. I don't know what it is. Is it a snake? Can we eat it? But definitely more active than we're used to seeing them in this time of day. Here comes a nice family portrait of the four walking. This is splendid. Look at this fellow. He's got an injury to his mouth. Oh, he's bleeding. What happened? The water pipe bit back. That's very fresh. It's bleeding right now. So, okay, everybody. Well, we're going to stay with this pride as they move up towards quarantine, slowly but surely, and we'll send you back on down to Tristan in the south. Well, while Steve stays with his naughty lions, who seem like they are full of beans this afternoon, we're still trying to just figure out where Kuchava and Cub could have gone. I haven't found tracks for them yet. It's not to say that they haven't come out, because we got a report at about 10 to 9 that they were on the driveway, which is where we were hoping they were going to come out this morning. And they said it was Tandy and Cub, but I'm 99% sure it's Kuchava and Cub. They're heading right to the driveway, so pretty sure it's them. But I can't see where they've crossed. There's been a lot of vehicles up and down during the course of the day. So what I'm doing now is the next road east of where that road is, in the hope that I can maybe pick up something. I suspect with the way that the ground is saturated and wet, and there's so many flies this afternoon, that I have a feeling that we're going to find a leopard in a tree or on a high mound. I think that's where they're going to be sitting, if they haven't been chased around by elephants, because I just cannot stop finding elephants this afternoon. They're everywhere. There's another whole herd here. We've just passed a herd on the driveway, and now there's another grouping of them. Hi guys. There is a lot of you at the moment. Just let these guys go. There's a female that's in front, so don't like cutting them off when they're walking and driving. And trying to kind of follow each other. It's never the greatest thing to have Ellies kind of cut and then cut them off. It's always better just to let the herd sort of join together and then carry on. I just want to see, it looks like this other one has turned back into the bush towards these two. So I think we actually can go forward now, which is good news. Difficult to see with this summer thicket. Oh, it's a bull in front of us, so we don't have to worry so much. Lucy, there are 221 herds of elephant. No, I'm joking. I have no idea how many herds of elephant are in Djuma, because it's ever changing and constant. Here in this part of the world, we are part of an open system, which means we get huge amounts of change every single day. What's your attitude for? Watch, this tree is going to get the brunt of it. No. Hey, for what? Enough.
enough. Stop it. Need for your behavior. Off you go. Yes. Had too many marula fruits today. But because we're in an open system, it's ever changing. So today we might have 40 groups of elephants. Tomorrow we won't have one. That's just how it goes. We do have a lot of elephants now, always, every year, because of the marula fruiting. It becomes pretty much a highway for elephants, and lots of Kruger's ellies pile through here. We must remember that Kruger's elephant population is probably close to 20,000, if not more, elephants. So that is a lot of different herds throughout the system that will start to kind of move through this area. He's very cheeky, this young bull. So with young bulls like this, it's a good lesson for a lot of you out there that go on your own safaris, is that behavior that we've just witnessed now is a young bull trying to be intimidating. And I see this behavior quite a lot when you go to the national parks, as people stand down to that behavior, so they'll reverse. Oh, there's a little agama, a tree agama on the torchwood, which is very cool. So they'll see that bull coming and they get intimidated and they immediately start reversing and moving away from it. And what that does is it actually starts to teach these young bulls that they can be naughty and chase cars and start to impose themselves. But if you stand your ground like you did then going forward, this bull starts to understand that you're not there to hurt it, but you're also at the same time not just going to give way and be bullied. And so going forward, that elephant will no longer behave that way. Generally will then just do their own thing and leave you alone. So it's always important when you get young bulls like this. I mean, I'm not talking about big musk bulls that are, 7 tons and are angry and shaking their head and their tails are erect and want to trample you. That's different. But these young bulls and the way he was approaching is more him trying his luck than anything else. And you could see, because we stood still, he kind of stopped and then shook his head as if to say, I don't know what really to do with this, and then walked away. So that's the kind of thing that you're trying to sort of get through to him, is that it's not okay for him to bully you at his age. He needs to understand that even though he's with the cows at the moment and there's a lot of opportunities to mate because of the numbers of ellies around, that it's not acceptable to be a bully. So that's why we stood our ground with him. Anyway, enough about the ellies, because this guy deserves a little bit of attention. This is a tree agama, a male tree agama with his bright blue head. And these guys are very common in this area. We just don't see them that much because they're often quite high up in the trees. And the females are really well camouflaged. If you didn't have that blue head on the male, it'd be a lot harder to spot these guys. But they are quite common. We see them fairly regularly. They have the most brilliant blue coloration, which makes them kind of something that people are often drawn to. It's amazing how colorful things attract people's attention. If you put a monitor lizard there and one of these guys next to it, I guarantee you 99% of people would be attracted and photograph the one with the colored head, as opposed to a drab kind of camouflage monitor, if it was of the same size. So, it's something that people always kind of gravitate to, and so do females. And that's why you see in the bird world and in the lizard world, a lot of the time, the males of the species are often brightly colored. And that is to attract attention. It is to try and show the females as much as possible that they are strong, healthy individuals, and therefore good to be mated with. That's all that is. It's like a mane of a lion, essentially, is to have this blue head, is showing females and showing off to them that he's a healthy individual that can be good for mating. I probably find that a lot of these reptiles today are going to be sluggish, and that's maybe why it hasn't scampered away. It's very seldom that you get the agamas staying this low on a tree when you come this close, and with an elephant that's just walked past. Normally they go up higher, but because we've had 3 days of cold, rainy weather, their body temperature will be very low, and so it's what it's doing right now is you can see it sitting on the side of the tree that faces the sun. And that's causing this internal body temperature to warm up and allow him then to be a lot more active than he has been. They've almost gone into a state of kind of catatonicness because of the fact that they've probably gotten a bit cold over this period. Sometimes you can even find reptiles that can die from very, very cold snaps if they're prolonged as well. Can trigger estivation as well in these guys. If it gets really, really cold, they then go into little holes in trees and just hide there until the weather passes. All right, but he's going to hide from us now, so I'll leave him there and let him enjoy his day and sunshine. Hopefully he'll warm up nicely and be able to find all kinds of yummy little treats up and down this torture tree, as well as maybe a mate at some point. All right, I'm going to try and see if I can... I mean, it's so thick here, the chances of us finding this leopard is not very good, but we'll give it a bash and we'll check around. And while I do that, let's send you across to Steve, whose lines made it far easier by just being in the road this afternoon. I have made it very easy for us. I've made it very easy for us. Who would have known that we just come and check where we left, or where we found them this morning, that they are actually now exactly where we found them. It's very, very strange. But it is what they do. A little bit of yoga stretch for the old girl there. And I don't know what's going on with them today. They're going up and down, up and down. She's now decided she's going to go back down the road and join the others. I suppose the shade is a little bit more sort of complete over here. And she's walking towards a boy who cut himself on something, his lip, and he's bleeding quite profusely there. He's just licking and cleaning himself. There's actually a little bit of blood on the floor, just down left. Look at that, that's blood. So I don't know what happened. Something happened when they were messing with that pipe, and the whole pride jumped, because he probably got a bit of a fright. Something must have cut his mouth. He's not too concerned, everybody. Don't worry about it. It's the least of his worries is a little nick on the lip. You know, there's just parts of your body that when they bleed quite profusely. And it seems as if that's exactly what's happened. You just keep cleaning himself until it stops. There's a bit of a stalk in progress. Bit of a stalk in progress. That one feels like it's going to sneak up on a fellow that's just lying in the road. Let's see how successful. You can see the shoulder blades. Starts to quicken the pace. Hasn't been detected yet. Are you ready for the pounds? 3, 2, 1. No pounds. That was quite a letdown. So I think the lions are just uncomfortably full. They've filled themselves up over the last few days, and you would expect them to just be lying underneath the tree enjoying some shade, but they're moving. Move this way and that way. I think the right word for it is antsy. I don't quite know what to do. We all know that feeling, don't we? Here we go. Just going to go and lie down over there again and just make myself comfortable. I know that feeling as well. Sean, of course, certainly. We've had 2 hunts now in the rain. The one was the waterbuck, which we missed. It was just after the rain. And 2 days ago, Tristan had the waterbuck, the wildebeest being eaten. And that was in the rain. So, yes, of course, the rain makes the conditions much more suitable for lions. They don't have the same
They don't have the same sort of, or should I say that the wildebeest and the prey animals don't have the same sort of hearing in the rain. The grass that when it's dry makes a little bit of a crispy sort of rustling sound. When it's wet, it's damp. It doesn't make it. It's dampened the sound. As well as the scents are all sort of washed away. So when in the rain, herbivore animals definitely lose their advantage. Predators do very well with their ability to have their feet that can splay out and it can actually help them with traction in the mud. Whereas a hoofed animal in the mud is a bit of a slippery and sliding affair. It can be caught a bit easier. A herbivore or prey animal benefits in its running ability on hard ground. The hooves allow it to jump, allow it to run, allow traction, allow it to push quite heavily. Now suddenly you've got mud where the hoof just slips. You don't have the same ability to get away from a predator, and that is where most herbivore animals or prey animals do well, is that ability, that immediate launching effect. And it's in that stage that if a predator is close enough and the prey animal's not able to do that lightning quick escape, that it's much easier for a predator to catch them. And as Tristan pointed out, he had three wildebeest carcasses in the same area. So a lot of that would be due to the conditions underfoot. I mean, you see lions in optimum conditions, not doing very well. And suddenly the weather moves in, the rain changes conditions quite a lot. As you've seen in sporting events, it changes the sporting event completely. Even sporting events that a team's very good in dry conditions, they need to also be very good in wet conditions so as to be able to dominate. And there's definitely a shift. I've seen big animals like giraffe get tackled and dealt with quite well by lions in the wet due to the clumsiness of the animal and the slipperiness underfoot. Okay, well, so from our Ngalas, our lions, we're going to send you over to Tristan and andBeyond Ngala, who would like to wish you a wonderful afternoon.
Good afternoon and welcome to an incredibly exciting andBeyond Ngala. I'm actually sitting at the only riverbed crossing that we can actually use at the moment. And this is what it looks like. It is unbelievable. I have not seen the Timbavati River flow like this ever in my career here, and that's so exciting. My name is Tessa. I'm going to be your guide here at andBeyond Ngala this afternoon. We have Sebastian behind the camera, and we have been driving along the river, and it is just unbelievable to see how much water there is. We've had about 120 mils of rain so far, and you can see the river is from bank to bank. And it's crazy to think that it actually used to flow like this on a regular basis. And yet, it's the first time I've seen it like this. And I've been here for 3.5 years. And it's just unbelievable how much everything has changed almost overnight. The grass has grown by at least a foot. There are flowers everywhere that we go. And it is just so beautiful. There's actually a build-up of foam as well in all the little reed beds. And the sound of water, it sounds so unusual, but the sound of water is not something that we're used to here at andBeyond Ngala. So sitting here, have a listen to how strong the water is flowing, especially here in front of me as it's going off the cement crossing. Unbelievable. So this is something that everybody has been very, very excited about. It's not something that we are used to at all. So all of the staff here have been very excited. All of the guests have been very excited. It's just incredible to see this amount of water coming down. And it's like this at every single crossing. It's just unbelievable to think that this is the first time I've seen it like this. Penelope, it is incredibly astounding. I'm blown away by how beautiful every single crossing is, and everywhere that we've gone along the river, we've checked all of the crossings, and myself and Sebastian have been blown away this afternoon by how wide this river is flowing. It's literally from bank to bank along the entire stretch of the river that runs through andBeyond Ngala. It just is incredible. So we actually have only got this one crossing that we can use, so we've covered all of the roads that we can actually drive on the southern side of this river this afternoon. And we're actually wanting to cross the river and go over towards Clara Dam, which is our dam in the northeast of andBeyond Ngala, and just see what we can find across there. And bear in mind, this is the same for the animals. They actually can't cross the river very easily either. I think elephants might be able to cross okay, maybe buffaloes, but all of the other animals struggle quite a lot. We actually went past the den site of the Birmingham lioness just now as well. She looks as though she may have moved. There's a lot of her tracks going up the only little dry stretch of riverbed right next to the den site. But the water is almost right up to the den site, and so I'm pretty sure when she heard that water coming, she might have even felt it, because they are a lot more sensitive than people are. She would have started moving those cubs, and we don't know where she's gone to. But I'm very happy that we saw her tracks going up and down away from that den site, because it means she's got really, really good intuition, and she started moving those cubs. Isn't this just magnificent to see? I'm blown away. So I'm definitely going to be spending as much time as I can around the flowing Timbavati River for as long as I can. But I'm definitely going to go check the dam for you just now. And in the meantime, I'm just going to enjoy this flow of water.
It's amazing. It's such a weird thing. You know, a lot of people don't really understand why guides get so kind of caught up in or emotional over seeing a river flowing that you never normally see. I think it's because you always want to picture it, and when it doesn't happen for long periods, it starts to become that kind of thing that you think about, and you want to see it just so you know what it is. It's that inquiring mind that most guides have. It's why they're guides, is that they're enjoying being out in nature and what that brings. And so, you know, it is an amazing thing. It's like the first time I saw the Sabi River flood, the Sand River flood. It's a crazy, crazy thing to see, and always watching the power of water and leaves one feeling both in awe and a little fearful at the same time, is probably a good way to put it in many respects. The power of water is no joke. Unfortunately, no sign of Kuchava. We're just driving very slowly, as you can see. Just trying to scan every single mound, tree that I can. The grass is way too long. If she's lying down in the grass, we're not going to spot her. She needs to be on the road or on one of those structures. So, you know, we're just kind of banking on maybe that she was taking that hill, and if we just do the roads enough, we'll eventually pick up something in a tree, or a carcass, or a leopard itself. So, you know, that's the plan. And if not here, we'll go scratch for Sabui, we'll go scratch for Tandi. There's lots of leopards to look for here on Chitwa. They also gave us the all clear to drive all of these higher crest roads. So lots to explore, and it's just the most beautiful afternoon with this golden light that's currently out at the moment. It just feels nice to be out in the fresh, clean wilderness in many ways. I'm thoroughly happy just to bumble the way that we are, and if we don't get a cat, well, that's also okay. It's not going to be the end of the world. We were lucky this morning, and maybe we'll get lucky again this afternoon and find what we're looking for, and if not, well, we'll just enjoy being out in the wilderness. Alright, well, I'm going to carry on. I'm going to loop back around to where the driveway is. Hopefully there'll be some sign that side. Welcome back, everybody. Now, just heard a couple of zebras not far from here. They're apparently moving in this direction, the lions aren't really aware of it. This one, well, not this one, but the one closest to us moved a moment ago. I heard that sort of noise a horse makes. And a vehicle that was with us before has gone up in that direction. They were headed off to go and see if they could find other animals. He's just informed me that there are indeed some zebra on quarantine on their way in this direction. So we could see anything happen. These lions that go from being very flat cats can suddenly change their behavior quite quickly, even if they're not that hungry. The instinct and the need to catch and subdue prey animals is automatic. And them all being flat and strewn out on the road like this actually makes for a pretty decent sort of catching net. We were discussing it if you're watching the show a few nights ago when we had this pride stalking the impala. It was quite a process to watch, but it's nice to be able to sit back and just allow those things to unfold. The intentions of the lion were there. But as I said, unfortunately, there will be no off-road driving. If something does take place, we will have to utilize our long lens to do so. But the ground is quite soft, so you probably wouldn't even hear the characteristic footfalls that a zebra might make. Lions probably wouldn't either, but the little noises that they do make, their vocalization sometimes are quite audible. But there's almost no breeze whatsoever. But they know, as do any of the lions that come through, they always come and check quarantine, the open area. There's always animals around. It smells of animals. Last few times they came through, their tracks went straight through quarantine and chasing things all over the place. They did that this morning as well, but there was nothing to be seen. The impalas were all on the other side. Don't forget, everybody, we are live and interactive, and we would really like to hear your questions and comments. Please do send them through to hashtag WildEarth, throw them in on the YouTube chat stream. Alternatively, go to the website, register and throw them in there. I'm just going to be quiet for a moment to allow us to just soak in some of the noises of the birds calling as we watch some very sleepy lions. Anusha, you say lazy bunch, but they've been pretty active, to be honest. Lions that have been as active as they've been before 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock is pretty special. When Tristan originally told me they were here, I thought, I'll come later and see them. And he said, no, they're being pretty busy. And while we've seen them, they've been up, they've been doing things. They walked up and down the road a few times. And they're very alert. Well, they were very alert. Now, they're not looking very alert. Look at her belly there. You see right inside, looks like a few ticks right in her tummy. Shame. Theo, do you go get rid of those ticks for her? Goodness. I think those are ticks. Nice big fat ticks that are gravid. Gravid meaning pregnant female ticks. They suck themselves
full of blood. And then after mating with the male, they'll then fall off and then land in the grass. And then lay eggs in a little nest, and that is what forms these pepper tick swarms that every now and again we unfortunately walk through. Never fun. Theo bought some shoes last year for bushwalk, and he's yet to experience a pepper tick nest, have you, Theo? No, you're quite grateful, I can assure you. Have any of you ever had a pepper tick swarm on your leg before? It makes the skin crawl. The best way about it is to, as soon as you get home from a walk, have a very nice hot shower. That is the best way about it. That is the most alert of the lionesses over there. She is looking up in the direction of quarantine, and up she gets. Okay, so she's walking up. Maybe she has seen something we haven't seen. I'm going to maybe make some space and go a little bit further up, and then we can get an idea of where the zebras might be. And then maybe the lions will slowly but surely come up. But I don't think there's going to be too much activity from the lions at the moment, unless the zebras really present an opportunity. Now she comes back again. They're very uncertain today. It's almost like they've lost their car keys, and they keep walking up and down trying to find something they might have left behind. Benjamin lions can sleep all day. They can sleep 20, 22 hours, 23 hours a day. But then they can also have a very busy few hours in the day, especially when they're hungry. When they are busy feeding on an animal, the feeding frenzy, as well as the cleaning and grooming that goes on afterwards, can take quite a bit of time. And the movement around in the search of food can also take some time. And each day is different, but it was often to do with the weather. For example, the other day when we tracked them and they caught that waterbuck, they'd been quite busy that afternoon because the temperature was suitable. And then 2 days before when Tristan had them, the dam cam, they were very busy, but that's because the temperature allowed it to be so. We're feeling that sun beating down on us now, and it is rather warm. So I'm not surprised that lions are really snuggling up again. Okay, well, that lioness has come all the way back and found herself in a very nice shady spot. So we might reposition shortly, see if you can get a better view. But in the meantime, let's send you over to Prrivate and see what's happening that side.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Eco Training Prrivate. We're just busy following an elephant bull that's just disappearing through the thick vegetation. We think that he's heading straight to one of the pans that are quite close by. So we're going to see if we can intercept him and meet him as that he is going to go towards the pan. Let's just keep our fingers crossed. Unfortunately, the vegetation in this area is way too thick to follow him. One of the reasons why we know that he's a bull is, firstly, he's on his own. However, sometimes we do get young bulls, often together in groups as well. It's generally between the age of 15 and 25. And they join all male groups where they basically learn from one another, and especially from the older bulls. Just going to reverse in here, and then we're going to turn onto this next road, see if we can catch up with him. So generally here from the age of 25, when they start becoming into a reproductive condition where they can start competing against other large bulls, then they will start going into must, condition which might last anywhere between 3 days and up as long as 3 months. And generally in that time they are quite irritable, and that's precisely what the word must means. This guy at the moment, we don't think he's in must at all. He's incredibly relaxed. He crossed our wind as well, and definitely didn't smell as if he was in must. In the meanwhile, while we follow, we're going to hand you over to Phinda, and we're going to see if we can find him.
Welcome back, everyone, and we have just found at andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve 2 white rhino, and we are ecstatic to find these two. We've been looking for these white rhinos all afternoon here in the southwestern grasslands of Phinda, and I thought it would be easier to find rhinos because of all the rain we've been having and all the lush grass, but I think because of the rain, rhinos and most animals haven't been congregating around waterholes like they usually do, but they've kind of spread out all over the show, making it harder to find them. But we found two right here, and just look how they have paused and they have got their ears facing straight towards us, because when we saw them they were actually walking in this direction, and then as soon as they saw us they paused, and now they're still in the process of kind of sussing out what we are, if we are a threat to them, and if they can carry on going about their business. There you can see the head of the one at the back just poking out behind the front rhino's bum, and now you can see it looks like they're relaxing a little bit. Their ears are flicking in all directions now, just taking in all of the sounds, and they're not completely focused on us. They seem to be relaxing. And I don't know if you noticed that bird that was sitting on the rhino's head before it flew off. It was a red-billed oxpecker. Those birds actually spend a lot of time with rhinos, sitting on rhinos and actually feeding on ticks or parasites that parasite on rhinos in the folds of their skin. So they actually help out rhinos quite a lot. Incredible. And I don't know if you can see the bushes and pieces of grass in front of the rhinos blowing slightly in the breeze. It is picking up, this wind. It's getting windier and windier towards the end of the day, and that also could be just another reason why these rhinos are slightly more watchful than they normally would be. With this wind going around, they won't be able to hear or smell as well as they would have if it was a still, calm day. And these two white rhino rely almost completely on their sense of smell and hearing. So if you take those away, they have very poor eyesight, so it makes them a little bit more sort of careful when it's windy conditions like this. Beach bunny, yeah, I also love their ears. If you have a look at this rhino that's pointing its ears right at us, you can see all those little tears and rips in the ears. Some of them would have been from, look at that one's lying down. He's laying down right on his side. So some of those tears would have been from being ripped as it walked past a thorn or something like that. Just wear and tear over the years, because rhinos can live for quite long. But on Phinda, we have a very, very close management of our rhinos. They're very important to conservation in Zululand of white rhinos. So we actually notch their ears in a specific notch pattern. Each one of them has different notch pattern to another one, so you can identify them and keep track of them and see that they're doing well. Because there is an incredibly dire crisis of rhino poaching at the moment in southern Africa and actually all over the world. But Phinda is kind of a sort of a success story in that we've got a very healthy rhino population, and we haven't had any poaching for quite some time, and that's due to the conservation efforts of a lot of people and teams on Phinda at the moment. But we're going to stick with these rhino for a little bit more and see if they maybe decide to get up again and carry on moving. We're going to send you off to andBeyond and Ngala.
So I'm sitting here at Clara Dam at andBeyond and Ngala, and we found the back end of a breeding herd of buffaloes, and I think these are actually the same buffaloes that I saw just before the cyclone hit us, and they were all bedded down and getting ready for the storm that was coming in. And here they are, looking very relaxed and happy, actually in the dam itself, and they're doing a combination of cooling down and drinking, refreshing themselves. And it's amazing to see how there's actually a distinct hierarchy here. The ones right at the far end of the dam, those are the dominant males and the females with calves, and right at the back end are the last few buffalo bulls. It's incredible to see how much life there is today, now that the sun is out for the first time in 3 or 4 days. And everyone just looks so nice and relaxed. Everything is so green. The dam has filled so beautifully. There's a spoonbill you can see in the background there. And 2 buffalo bulls coming face to face there. Oh, that one lying down has actually got an oxpecker on his boss, on the top of his horns. And he's busy multitasking. He's cooling down at the same time that he's chewing the cud. It always amazes me how buffalo go straight into the water. They're not scared of the water at all. They really enjoy being able to lie and soak it up. So the rest of the herd, you can actually see them crossing the northern end, the top end of Clara Dam. And I suspect what they're doing is they're going to walk and keep feeding on these nice, very lush green areas around the dam itself. And this old bull is taking a shortcut. Instead of going up on the bank like the others did, he looks like he's just going straight through the middle. So that white bird above him is the African spoonbill. It's got a beak shaped like a spoon on the end. Mpo, there used to be crocodiles in this dam. We aren't aware of any at the moment because in the last few dry seasons, in our winter months, June, July, August, this dam has completely dried up. And so there's been nothing left. In fact, the hippos only started returning once there was enough water for them. So we're not aware of any crocodiles in here. There might be some that have moved in with the storm and with the increase of water, especially now that the Timbavati River is flowing. That could easily have washed quite a few crocodiles down this way. And that Timbavati River is just to the south of where Clara Dam is, and so there very well could be some new crocodiles in here that we actually don't know about. It's amazing how the light affects the color of the buffalo's coat. Have a look at the difference between those two. So we were actually expecting to find quite a few more plains game here, things like giraffes, maybe impalas, zebras, those kinds of things. But in fact, it's a beautiful surprise to see these buffaloes. So I'm going to stay here with them. And speaking of, I'm going to send you over to some zebras.
Thanks, Tess. Well, we caught up with our zebras. They were slowly coming down, but they felt something wasn't right. They've all turned around now. Lions are all still this way. They didn't make any moves, any attempts. It just gets you a nice view of this herd of zebra. They kind of know something's up, but they're not quite sure what. See, the lions had walked along the road the zebras were trying to cross before. It was only this morning. It's quite some time ago, but they keep looking in that direction. You know, it's that sixth sense that many animals employ to keep them alive. And you get that feeling you might not see anything, but changing plans and altering what it is you were going to do sometimes is the best way to go about it. Excuse me. My apologies. Beautiful the zebras in this nice, lovely afternoon light. Rachel, yes, they do. Very decent eyesight. Their sense of smell and hearing is also very good. They probably see better than us at night, as most animals do. I would say we've probably got pretty even eyesight during the daytime. They don't see depth like we do. They see shapes. Most of the prey animals you'll come across are very good at identifying shapes. You can hear that alarm call. That snorting. That's of a displeased zebra looking right towards where the lions are. Not that we saw the lions doing much. We moved away to come catch up with the zebra, and from a distance we could still see lions lying on their backs with legs in the air and bellies exposed. Hence why this morning when we came out and we found all the impala on the far side, that's where the zebra headed to now. Often we kind of know someone's been hunting or there's been movement of predators when you find an accumulation of our prey animals on a certain side of this open area. And then when we check the opposite side, we're often quite lucky in finding some predators on the move.
Dream of traveling to a far-flung wilderness location where life continues as normal? A place where you can escape to nature and breathe. If you become a WildEarth explorer, then this could soon become a reality. Subscribe today and stand a chance to win regular travel prizes. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature. For the month of January 2021, we are offering a chance to win a unique WildEarth expedition to the magnificent Tswalu Kalahari. From the ancient quartzites Koranenberg Mountains to the southern Kalahari's red sand dunes, Tswalu offers what travelers crave most: space and time. The winner will explore this landscape in a vehicle, on foot, or on horseback, with a chance to go behind the scenes with WildEarth and of course meet the meerkats. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend at the luxury Motse Lodge, including flights from either Johannesburg or Cape Town. Open to all WildEarth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and I come to you live every day here from Tswalu Kalahari in South Africa. My favorite animal in the Kalahari has to be the aardvark. Its unique appearance, its ethology, and as well as ecology within this vast ecosystem is amazing, and something that I have been really lucky to experience on foot here at Tswalu.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth. In a world full of upheaval, we all need a quiet and safe space to breathe. A place where anxiety and stress don't exist. A place where life carries on as normal. Escape to nature with WildEarth.
So these rhinos that we saw earlier have still remained in the same place, but they are now both standing and looking quite alert. I think something, maybe the wind startled them, and I think this wind is really confusing them at the moment. Their ears are still pointed one on us, and the other one, which is moving completely independently of the other one, is swiveling to catch noises that are coming from the back of it. Just taking in everything around in its environment. But have a look, we were talking about the ears earlier. Have a look at the pointy tip of this white rhino's ears. It's one of the ways that we actually identify these as white rhinos. There's lots of ways, but just by looking at the ears, we can tell these are white rhinos with that pointed tip. The other species of rhino we get here in southern Africa is a black rhino, and they've got completely round ears, almost like Mickey Mouse ears. But apart from that, they're also found in very different habitats. They feed on very different food, and their behavior is completely different. So they are very, very different animals. The only thing they really have in common is that they have two horns. But these white rhinos, we've come to look out here for because there's lots of grass. They feed on grass only, and they hardly ever actually, I'm not going to say never, because I'm sure there's been maybe 1 or 2 records of them eating bushes, but they never eat bushes or trees or leaves. They're completely designed for eating this grass. And their lip, if we can maybe catch a glimpse of one of their lips that they're holding very close to the ground right now, are shaped like squarish, designed to almost mow grass like a lawnmower. So they're completely adapted and evolved to thrive in this kind of environment. It's beautiful how the light's catching them now. They've got this almost kind of reddish tinge to them because all the mud in this area, well, here's one coming into view nicely. All the mud in this area is slightly red, and these rhinos, wow, look, they're coming out now. Look at the grass hanging out of his lips. Leslie's, you asked what kind of sounds rhinos make, and at the moment these rhinos are actually, I don't know if you can hear that well on the camera because it's quite a low sound, but they snort, they blow, and they're doing this right now. They're blowing air out of their nostrils quite quickly, and they make like a snorting sound, but otherwise they don't make many noises at all. Young rhinos, when they're calves, they can also make a very high-pitched whining sound that they use to contact their mothers. But otherwise, rhinos make very, very few sounds, except for snorting and blowing out of their nose. How amazing was that? These rhinos don't seem to be too worried about the wind or what's around them anymore. They've got quite a bit more confidence than they had earlier, and they've come out right close to our car, and they seem to be smelling. Look what they're doing. They're actually smelling something on the floor there. It might be the urine of another rhino there. But now you can see that square lip. Wow, that's fantastic. Look at that cloud of flies that just flew off of him. And you can see the one on the left is much darker than the one on the right because he's been rolling in mud quite recently. He's still quite wet. And that would be to sort of protect himself against flies with that dried mud dried on his skin. It also helps to get rid of ticks and parasites and cool them down as well. But just like we saw those flies flying off that rhino now, the mud that's caked on the rhino on the left would help that a lot. These two are being super inquisitive right now. It's amazing. So Liam, that's a very good question that you've asked. Do rhinos live in herds? And it's quite a difficult one to answer because for the majority of the time, rhinos don't live in herds. They are solitary, and you may find a mother and a calf or a single bull together living on their own in the grassland. But every now and again, rhinos will come together when there's good feeding or close to water. They are quite territorial, but they tolerate each other in each other's space reasonably well. So every now and again you'll get sometimes groups of 3, 4, 5, sometimes even I've seen 9 rhinos or 13 rhinos together at once. But it generally doesn't last too long. It's not a permanent social structure. It's just for maybe 1 or 2 days in the right time, in the right place where there's good grass, and then they will make their way on their own mission again. But these two, been trying to figure out what the relationship or why these two are together. I think these might be 2 young rhinos that have just maybe recently left their mother or haven't really established territories of their own, and they've come together maybe for a bit of companionship, because rhinos do struggle when they leave their mother to live on their own. They will often come together, young rhinos, and spend time with each other like this. So, Buffel, your question is quite a tricky one. I'm actually not sure which species of rhino has better eyesight. I'll have to get back to you on that one. But both of them have very, very poor eyesight. White rhinos do tend to live in more open areas like this, where there's a huge field of vision for them to be able to spot things, whereas black rhinos live in much more thicker, denser vegetation. So if I was to take a guess, I would say that white rhinos may have better eyesight, just purely on what they may be adapted to live in. But I have absolutely no idea. I will get back to you on that one. That rhino at the back is now, if you can see there, starting to feed on that grass. So that's a sure sign that it's completely relaxed. It's forgotten about the threat or what it thought was a threat earlier, maybe the wind in the bushes, and it's happily feeding into the late afternoon. So we are going to leave these rhinos. It looks like they may just walk down into that riverbed behind them, and we're going to go see what else we can find in this afternoon for you. So we're going to send you off to another live location and carry on.
Welcome back to Djuma, everybody, where we found a young elephant bull. He seems to be on his own. He's quite a little fellow. To be on his own, I wouldn't be surprised if he's maybe trailing a herd. He's enjoying some grass as well. We left our lions lying up. They weren't going anywhere for now, so we just go around and see what else we can find. We'll head back over to them in a little bit. And here we found a beautiful young male elephant. Sounds of the cicadas nearby. It's almost deafening. In he goes. Let's move up a bit. We get a better view. We discussed before the elephants will dig up certain roots and bulbs and things this time of year, but they will be feeding quite heavily on grasses and wildflowers and forbs. Let's see if we can find out what he's feeding on. Gary, elephant bulls inevitably will end up on their own as they start. Oh, there's another female, or another bigger elephant in the block. Not very good view because of the light. But elephant bulls will end up on their own as they sort of start reaching sort of adolescence, teenager-ish size. They start to show interest, sexual interest in family members, and they then get pushed away from the herd. He's already a little bit sort of off to the side. He's found himself a marula tree. But he's not on his own. There is a herd nearby, but he's too cool to hang out with the herd, you see. Like many of you have probably got teenage sons at home. They're way too cool to be walking down the road with you, aren't they? In the shopping mall, they're always off doing their own thing. Either right at the back or all the way at the front. He's watching us though, and you see, looking at us over his left shoulder. He's either feeding on marulas now, or he's found some lovely forbs on the ground there. You can hear the bubbling casinas behind us. He did seem to be a bit too small to be on his own, but he's nearly there. How do I know it's a male? You can look at the front legs. Underneath the front legs, he's still got mammary glands, but they're very, very small and underdeveloped. A female of this size could potentially already be breeding. But even after he gets pushed away, I'll often find them following the herd for some time until finding a group of males to show him the way. Malcolm, no, most certainly not. Males will come into a herd and mate and then move off. Mate with as many females as they can and move off. They require no or provide no parental care. Not territorial. They move vast distances in search of females. And the females will stay within their herd for life until the herd gets to a certain size,
and then you might get individual females breaking off and making two different herds as the food becomes less available. We've got elephants emerging out of the thickets to our left. It's interesting, we never see breeding herds of elephants hanging out. Oh, it's got a little baby as well. We never see breeding herds hanging out in the open areas. They always move straight through. They like the cover that the dense bush provides. Often find the bulls out in the open. This one's coming to check us out. She's got a little baby behind her. Oh, hello. Don't go so fast, Mum. The whole family is following her. Maybe they'll go and feed on some marulas now. They will chance a glimpse in the open here for the feeding. Or see how the bull's going to respond now. Let's see what happens here. He's moved off. You're right there. See how that young bull has turned his shoulder. Moved off. Little family units. There's another herd up ahead. Very closely related to this one. Aniline males obviously get much bigger. Females don't get nearly as large as males. But when they're quite young, it's really hard to tell. The angle of the head changes. Females have got a very sort of angular head, forehead from the side. It's quite noticeable. Whereas males get a very round head. When you see her walking there, you see between the front legs, she's got swollen mammary glands there. That's a very good indication of female versus male. When they're young, it's tricky, but because the male's penis actually goes inside the body. So you don't always get to see the genitalia, so it's not always easy. But on pure size, males are far bigger. But when they're smaller and of that sort of size, it's not that easy to tell. Lovely to see this herd out in the open. Hello. See, that's a cousin. Now, if I've discussed this before at length, breeding herds of elephants, you would not see a baby out on its own like that if there was any concern for the welfare of the herd or if they were in any way unrelaxed. Oh, look at the little one. They're going to meet. Have a look how it's going to meet the other one. Look at that little one there in front of Mum. Hello. They form bonds with each other, and these cousins and relatives will know each other for life. They look out for each other, they push each other around, they play. And you wouldn't see any of this if the herd was not relaxed. So if ever you are on a self-drive safari and you see elephants and you see babies out and about like that, switch off and enjoy. Everybody's very relaxed. Very, very relaxed. You see, they're all learning right now. Okay, Mum's moving from here to there. And then they'll learn going forward that marulas are available and how they're found. That little baby would be the first time experiencing any of this. And they've got very long memories, so that information will be passed on. Oh, get out of here. Those are my marulas. You see, that's obviously a cousin or a nephew or someone who isn't welcome as close to her calf as she would like. A gentle shove. They do get quite possessive over their marulas. Elephants do. Now, although the baby on the left there might be experiencing marulas for the first time, I doubt it's able to pick them up. suffix, elephants take 2 years to really master the art of the trunk. For the first 2 years, they're able to suckle from mum's mammary gland by just lifting their trunk and using their mouth. So right now, that baby, if it wants to get a marula, it will have to physically put its mouth on the ground to do so. It won't actually be able to physically pick it up with the trunk. It might be able to push it around a bit, but that hand-eye coordination takes time to develop. And see, it's like the skills that one's using there with this trunk has required a fair amount of effort. There are many muscles in the trunk that enable it to lift it forward, to lift it up, to turn it left, to turn it right, and to suck up as well through each of the nostrils. Someone has counted over 100,000 different muscles in that trunk. So that takes time to figure out how to use. Just imagine a human baby trying to figure out the small amount of muscles in one's hand compared to the muscles in an elephant's trunk. It takes a baby a while to really figure out how to grab things and how to do things, and then how to pull them up towards the mouth. The reason why the baby bib was invented is although the baby's keen to try feed, it doesn't always get it very right. And the youngster's on the floor there on the right. The only way to pick up food is to climb on the floor and put it up with its mouth. Such peaceful scenes out here. Carol elephants have been in abundance for a few weeks already. Oh, there's some pushing and shoving going off on the left over there. They definitely are in abundance. This time of year we expect to see lots of elephants around because of the marulas. It is marula season. As soon as the marula dries up, you'll see many of the elephants will head back onto the east to the good grazings that's provided in the basalt soils. We do have quite an influx of elephant here in the winter months, regarded as a bit of a winter grazing area, and also the bush willows. Many of them are very well favoured by elephants in the dry season for their leaves, the bark and the roots. As well as the round leaf teak or bloodwood, we get lots of them around. And there's also a fair amount of water. Talking about elephants, we've just come across another group ourselves. They're absolutely everywhere on Chitwa. Literally have bumped into I don't know how many herds now. But no sign of what we actually came to Chitwa for. That's not to say we won't enjoy it, because it's very pretty this afternoon, particularly on the big open clearing where you've got these ellies huddling under marula trees with golden light. It's really, really nice. You find that they kind of have this rolling vista down towards the dam, and then you've got these guys spread out, and like I say, the light this afternoon is really nice. It's golden colour. But we haven't found any sign for Kuchava in the cub, nothing. I mean, the blocks where she could have gone, it really just needed her to be on the road or in a tree, or and we've checked multiple times. There's just really no sign of them. So what I'm going to do is I thought I'd come towards the dam and just park off here and listen, and maybe we'll get an alarm call or we'll get some indication of where they could be.
the kind of worrying part about it is where Thandi would have taken her little cub, because, like I say, where we saw Kuchava and the cub this morning to start is exactly the last spot Thandi's cub was seen the day the rain started. So the night when this rain kind of arrived, he was there. Well, that's what they say. It was him. I mean, maybe it was Kuchava's son, but it's worrying to think that maybe she was there, because you never know what can happen. It'll be good to know if Thandi maybe came back and took him away because of the flooding system. I don't know, but we'll have to kind of have a look around. She was definitely sniffing all over those rocks where Thandi and the cub have been. But which is not surprising. We've been saying it, that there was going to be a clash at some point, because they all seem to be occupying the same space at this stage. Sabui cubs, Thandi cub, and Kuchava cub. So a lot can go wrong there. We'll just see kind of how it goes. But isn't this beautiful with this light and these ellies just feeding? So nice. All right, well, we're going to probably hang out with these guys and just sit here and see if maybe something comes our way while we sit with the ellies. Welcome back to the open clearing of quarantine and our beautiful herd of elephants enjoying the marulas. Picking them up one at a time. There's a little youngster in the middle. Theo, can you see him? Let's see if we can get some close-ups on that little guy. He's so small. It's tiny. He's trying to do things with the trunk. The frustration. Come on, everybody. How do you do it? I'm going to go down on the floor again and pick it up with my mouth. They want to be involved. They want to do what everybody else is doing. Pity about that tall grass there. Elephant babies are probably one of my favorite. It's gonna roll around now. So the sun is slowly making its descent to the horizon, and shortly after this we're going to leave these elephants and go back to the lions, as I feel like it might be nearing the time that they're going to start getting active. But I'm glad we came away to get a nice view of these ellies. Let's see if Mum is going to help the little one up. Very good. Well, it definitely sounds like it's an elephantastic afternoon as our little youngster gets itself to its feet. It sounds like Tristan has found some elephants of his own. And there's ellies everywhere, as we've been alluding to over the course of the drive. Literally any clearing where there's a marula, or wherever there is a marula tree itself, there's an elephant sitting close by, moving around. Lots of herds, which has been nice as well. So not only just bull elephants, which is what you often see on these marula clearings, but nice to have lots of cows and little babies around too. That light, though, is just something else. It's one of the nice things about Chitwa. The view from the camp itself in the afternoons is so beautiful. You get this nice setting sun that kind of flows towards the lodge, and the dam, and the kind of open area, particularly when you've had good rains and everything is so beautiful and green. What are you doing? Oh, goodness. The kids have been given too much sugar and are now going to be messing about. I take it this one is also going to go down at some point. Always going to try and climb on the other one. They often do climb on one another if one lies down. Not sure why it's lying down. There's no real reason, other than maybe to attract attention from its herd mate. who's shaking its head vigorously for some reason. These guys make me laugh, these young elephants. They're full of beans at this time of the year. And you've got grass on your head as well. Oh dear, Mom's in for a tough afternoon. So pretty though, out here. It's sometimes nice just to pause and just take it all in. I'm really hoping that while we're sitting here, an alarm call will ring out, and maybe not so much for Kuchava and the cub. I would prefer, funny enough, not because I don't want to see Kuchava and the cub. I do. I like spending time with them, and I really enjoy that little male. He's super cool. But I would like to just hear alarm calls and find Thandi and the cub, just to know that they're all right. You know, often when you get these kind of floodings that take place, particularly for little cubs that don't know what flooding is, it's always good when you see them again afterwards and you know that they managed to get through it unscathed. Thandi, being as experienced as she is, surely would have come and found him. But with Kuchava's presence so close by and the flooding, it would just be nice to kind of see those two sooner rather than later, in order to just make sure they're okay. And then obviously Sabi and the two, although I'm not too worried about them, they spend most of their time kind of near the airstrip there. It's nice and open and fairly raised, so they wouldn't have had too much to worry about from a sort of flooding point of view. And you've got to love the fact that there is a mountain of food all around these ellies. So there's marulas everywhere, there is grass everywhere, but no, we must break trees in order to find the food we want. Why? So can't we just pick the leaves without breaking the tree as well? Branches are being flattened and all kinds of other things. I suppose it's just more fun that way. If you're an ellie and you've got the power to do it, why not? Chris, no, they don't. Oxpeckers don't sit on elephants because there's not enough food for them on an elephant. Elephants are very good at taking care of their skin. They also don't have a huge amount of hair, which means parasites battle to latch onto them in the same numbers as you'll see on something like a buffalo. Rhinos also don't have a trunk or a long tail, and therefore they also have a higher tick load and food source load than what an elephant does. Elephants are able to use tails and trunks to swipe things off, as well as swipe at oxpeckers. So that just the amount of movement from the elephants coupled with the low parasite load means that oxpeckers just aren't interested in landing on them. It makes no sense for them, and they don't benefit from it really. It would just be kind of like riding a big merry-go-round rather than actually getting a food source, and that's why they're on a lot of animals, is to get food. And it's mostly because they're actually blood suckers. Oxpeckers' main source of food is blood. The ticks are just filled with blood, and that's why they like to eat them. It's not that they're actually targeting ticks themselves. They're saguanivores. Blood is their preferred diet. And so that's why often they even peck at wounds and harvest the blood like that. They're not that worried about the insect. It's more the ability to get the blood itself, and elephants just won't let them, like I say, with that trunk and tail, they'll just constantly knock them off, even if they were to have a wound on their body. Isn't that beautiful though? It's open clearing, super pretty, and there's golden light this afternoon after that rain is most welcome. I think we'll go down to the dam and just go and see how full the dam is and sit there for a little bit and listen and maybe see if there's any birds. Maybe the pratincoles have arrived. You never know if there's a tern that's sitting somewhere there. So I think it'll be a good place just to go and scratch. I did check Chitwa Airstrip for any signs of sooty terns. They like to sit on open little clearings like that. So I went to go check on Chitwa Airstrip, but nothing up there. Just some impalas. All right, let's head off towards the sunset and towards the dam and go and get a nice view of what's happening down there. I'm expecting it to be full, and I'm expecting there to be hippos. Other than that, I don't think there'll be that much. Maybe some ellies will come down while we're sitting there. But also very possible. The temperature is really nice as you start driving. It's quite humid when you stop. Obviously, there's so much moisture in the ground, but as you start to drive, you get this nice little breeze that blows past you, and it is the most beautiful temperature right now. All right, talking about nice temperatures and elephants and all things pretty, it sounds like Steve is still with his Ellies, so let's send you across to him.
Thanks, Tristan. Well, our herd has crossed the road and they're heading straight towards the watering hole, which could mean, oh, it looks like they're going to go past. Okay, they're crossing this road as well, so they're not going to walk down where the lions are. I was hoping to see them walk down past where the lions are lying down, and that would have been, it's always interesting when a lion pride gets, or an elephant herd gets hold of them. Where are they going? They're going straight towards Reptile camp. Must be something going on there I don't know about. Ah, no, they're going to Maruda tree. That's what they're doing. They know there's a Maruda tree right there that's got fruit. Look how excited they are. Oh, that one's like, hey, it's my tree. Watch. It's my tree. Trying to chase everybody away. It's mine. That's a bull. Brunslang elephants go through 6 sets of molars in their life. They start off with their sort of milk teeth, which then pop through. And then as they get older, a second molar pushes through at different ages. And as those molars sort of push through, eventually they go through 6 sets, and the molars sort of just fall off the edge or the front of the mouth as the 6 sets, both top and bottom, push their way through. And eventually, once that 6th set is out at about the age of 40, 45, the teeth gets quite worn down, and then that animal starts to sort of not really be able to digest or break down, should I say, their food very well. They don't do a very good job in the first place, but once that... Okay, those baboons are shouting. I'm going to move up here. Baboons must be shouting because lions must be moving. So let's go and have a look. We're going straight towards the lions now. It's an afternoon of elephants. I'm sure there's a second herd of elephants just outside camp there. I wonder if they've started moving. Baboons are alarming for something. Could be lions. It could be a leopard somewhere. Smell the marula fruit this time of year. Okay, so they have moved up slightly. Just slightly. Definitely getting more active. Getting more active. Active and aware. Now, all that's left on quarantine that we can see is a lot of elephants, so I don't think the lions are going to be too interested in that, although the youngsters are still always interested in having a go until they realize that it's probably not a good idea. Why are the adults not doing this? Sometimes we have to learn hard lessons in life. Hey, Theo. No comment. Amazing the amount of activity we're finding just around our camp. We're very blessed. Greg, I've seen them attempting to sort of getting interested at young elephants and then very, very quickly deciding that's not a good idea. Only youngsters, sub-adults. The adults don't do it. In these areas, I haven't seen adults getting involved. But I've seen young lions also trying to chase rhino, and that also wasn't a very good idea. But there are elephants and areas in southern Africa, namely Savuti, where the prides of lion actually actively hunt elephant in certain times of the year. And it's quite frightening to be a part of that. I haven't been up, but I've seen some very, very crazy stuff on TV. Prides of 45 plus lions. Here we're being at 14. Can you imagine? 45. Well, that's an elephant in the background that said, "Those are my marulas." It's a crazy sound, isn't it? Crazy, crazy sound. Now, that's often excitement. They can do that when there's a bull causing trouble. They can do that when there's a young bull causing trouble. They can do that when the youngsters are in danger. They can do that when there are predators nearby. It's very hard to say what is upsetting them when they do that. But it's a real body jarring sound. If you're close by, an elephant does that. It's not pleasant to experience. Okay, well, I'm not sure which watching hole Tristan's arrived at, but I'm guessing it's Chitwa.
While Steve is playing around with lions and ellies, we've come down towards Chitwa Dam, and we had a hippo. He's just gone underneath. You might hear the water. It's pretty deafening at the moment, and that's because of the runoff that's coming over the dam wall, or out on that outflow. It's dropped significantly though, because you can see kind of where the water was flowing before, but it's still coming out pretty quickly. The dam is full. Unfortunately, no catfish spawning on the little spillway here. It's probably because the dam wall has been fixed and it's not as easy for them to get from where they are in the dam onto this part of this kind of flooded section. As we see where that's kind of coming over. It's a serious amount of water that's coming down. And the dam is looking beautiful though. It's massive again. Considering how empty it was at one point, Chitwa Dam was looking dire a year ago. And now it just looks absolutely fantastic. It's got this beautiful gold light that's on it at the moment. There's lots and lots of water. And it's looking vast. It's a huge dam now, again, which is really cool to see. The last time I saw it like this was in 2012, this full. In fact, it was fuller than this, but it's the last time I've seen it as full and as beautiful kind of as it is now. Nice little reflection and color in the water this afternoon. Unfortunately, there are very few birds, which is strange. I've been scouting around all on the edges of the dam, trying to see any signs of little waders or things that could have been blown in, but I don't find anything. There's no terns or anything perching anywhere. So nothing as yet of interest, but maybe things will change at some point. Oh, the most beautiful colors in the sky as well. Just the whole scene is pretty here. I love kind of just spending time at this time of the day. The dam is, when it's vast like this, and when the light is pretty, has a real charm to it. And I remember sometimes when I didn't have guests, I used to come out here and just sit on the dam wall and just kind of take it all in. And you can see how far the water is. It's all the way up to the Jackalberry, so there's actually not even any road that you can. That's where the road normally goes, is to the right of that Jackalberry, which we drove on Thursday or Friday. So that's kind of been flooded over. Amazing how quickly these places change. Beautiful though, isn't it?
a lot of you are saying you can't believe how full it is, but if you pan across this whole dam, you'll be shocked at how big it looks at the moment. It is massive, massive, massive now. It's more a lake than a dam these days. You can see it stretches as far as you can kind of see past that dead tree. And then if you look all the way across, it continues to kind of go and then up towards the dam wall, and it's very high on the dam wall at the moment. It's a serious amount of water, that's for sure. Nice though, it's good. It's going to mean that we're going to have good water here throughout. Even if we had a dry summer next summer, this would hold really nicely through 2 winters after all of the rain that we've had. Right, I might just bumble about and see if there's any birds of interest. Otherwise, we'll start slowly kind of heading back to Djuma. In the meantime, though, let's send you back to Steve and the lines. Beautiful scenes unfolding here in the open areas of quarantine, just turning around for it. Elephants moving through with the sun setting in the background. And off they go. I'll turn back to our lions in a moment while we just appreciate the sunset. The lions, regardless of the fact that they are giant elephants running away, the youngsters are interested. They're looking, going, And that's just the thing, everybody. It's a moving target. They even look at our wheels like that sometimes. It can be quite disconcerting. Okay, I think they're going to start coming up now, so let me just move back. How's that there? Not going to work for you? Watching the elephants intently. Can't help themselves. Cats, after all. Monbart, I suppose you could say that lions are matriarchal, but it's a different sort of system altogether. When we talk about matriarchy, we talk about there being a leader and the herd following. For example, elephants are leaders. There's a leader that looks after them. And lions share a lot of similarities to that, in that the lionesses will stay in the pride for life, but there's no essential leader. They are regarded as prides, where males come in and out of the prides and they exert dominance on them. And the females do definitely mark territory and defend their territory against other prides. So there are lots of similarities, but matriarch means that there's a dominant female that takes over and takes control. Whereas although you might see an individual lioness being sort of more in charge sometimes, there's no general leader per se.
So female lionesses with their cubs, the cubs will stay in the pride for life if they're female. Males can stay up to 4 years. Normally it's less than that before they get pushed away. It all depends on the turnover time. Some prides, you might even see the young males integrate and form a dominance with new males that move in, as we saw with the Sausage Tree Pride. But generally 3.5 or 2.5 to 3.5 years is when young males will get pushed away. But it does change. It's not exactly the same every time. Okay, well, we're going to stay here with our lions. You're definitely starting to get very interested. And in the meantime, we'll send you back over to the overflowing Chitwa watering hole with Tristan.
I'm glad the lions are getting a little bit more active and starting to do a few things. We're gazing upon a full moon and a beautiful kind of, I don't know, just nice afternoon, really. I've had the most pleasant afternoon. We haven't seen a lot other than the elephants, but it's just been nice. It's been pretty, it's been quiet. There's no other cars out at all. I literally have seen one other vehicle, or two, sorry, other vehicles, and they were on the main road. Otherwise, we've just bumbled and enjoyed ourselves. Sorry, I just heard guinea fowls. Where are you alarm calling from, guineas? Are the leopards in the lodge? Wouldn't surprise me. It also looks like some ellies having a bit of a wade across the far end of the dam. You can hear them walking. Trying to check to see if there's any sign of anything in the lodge. The nice thing is that we can actually look in the lodge today because there's no guests at Chitwa today. Most of the lodges don't have guests because of the cyclone and obviously various other reasons. But there's definitely something causing much panic because go-away birds are calling now. What are these that are flying around? There's two birds that just flew over. I can't see what they are. It's just a silhouette, but very odd flapping. Maybe it's them. Maybe it's birds of prey, but they looked a bit small for birds of prey. Whatever it is it's caused a bit of a stir inside the camp. So actually it's a cool opportunity just to show the camp a little bit better than what we normally do. But so a lot of you have often wondered where Tamba got his name from and where he was born. Tamba was born in a lodge in the under the room directly in front of where I am right now. There's a camp that's got, or a little room that's got boulders underneath it. And normally we don't show the rooms because in case guests could be there. But like I say, today there's no guests in it. So if you look in the gap, there's a room there in a gap with a little boulder underneath the deck. That's where Tamba was born, is in underneath that deck right there. And Tamba means boulder or rock. And so for those of you that have heard of us referring to Tamba, he was Tundi's offspring, not her last litter or the litter before, but the litter before that. So the older brother to Kalamba, and he was born in on those rocks there. So because that room is called Tamba, the actual room, because of the boulders, he was given the same name. And he spent a lot of time in that area. And so Tundi's often used this as a safe place for her cubs. Wabayiza was here a lot. Kuchava herself was in the lodge a lot. And now we're seeing her actually bringing her current little male into this area too. She didn't bring Kalamba down here, but that was at a different time. She was spending more time north and east of west of what she is now. I was just scanning all the decks because in this wet weather and with no guests, I wouldn't be surprised if Tandy and her mischievous cub are just sitting on one of the decks somewhere. Guinea fowl are definitely upset about something though. I suppose it's that time of the year where they also start breeding, so they make a noise. But no, there's definitely something in the camp. I can't see the guinea fowl, that's the problem. If I could see them, then it would give me a good idea of where they actually are looking. But generally when the leopards are inside the camp, when I used to work here, they used to walk around the back side of the rooms, so on the pathways, not in front of the rooms. Most of the time it's on the back side, and then if they want to, then they come to the front to jump on a deck, but otherwise it's pathways that they prefer using. Part of the reason why I'm also here at this time and not still bumbling is because I'm trying to wait for that wood owl to call again, see if it actually is still around in this area. I've been trying to find it, but it's been a bit tricky, and we haven't heard it again since that initial time. So I'll just keep being patient and keep watching out, see maybe if these guineas give away something. Hopefully we'll get some luck somewhere around here.
banks. It's a very important function. Hippos are not able to overutilize the grass because they have to just clip it with their lips. There's no ability for them to dig the grass up, to chop it too short. Obviously, their feet have the potential to damage the surface and the ground and making tracks. But invariably, their feeding is very beneficial from an ecological point of view. They mow the lawn, making it more suitable for many other animals that like mowed lawn. And then that mowed lawn is also beneficial in its stabilization of the banks. And then the vegetation, for the most part, through their dung, ends up in the water, which is then distributed around, produces organic material that then is fed upon by a number of fish species, breeding grounds for insects. Okay, the lions are now slowly starting to move as we see our baby hippo move off. It's a nice little two-shot there. The lions and hippos. That power in the chest. So talking about matriarchy, definitely a couple of the adults have decided it's time to move. And these are them in the front. Cohesive unit. They move a little bit incrementally, saving energy as they go, of course. Liam, I think we discussed this early on in the show, but there's no real preference. The preference comes with regards to energy efficiency. So lions can hunt at any time. But obviously there are times when they're better at hunting, and in the darkness, they're much more efficient at hunting in the darkness due to the fact that their eyes are tuned to those conditions, and it's much cooler. But if it's cool in the middle of the day, lions will hunt. Lions often lie up around watching holes, and you can have them hunting in the middle of the day. In the Masai Mara, they regularly hunt in the middle of the day. It all depends on the availability of prey and temperature. But if you had to put it down to a time, this sort of time is when they start getting active and start moving around. But as I say, it's got a lot to do with temperature. But they do generally tend to switch on a bit more in the darkness. They sort of start getting this wildness to them in the darkness. And they approach an open area, like this one we have on our left, quarantine in sort of staggered bursts. Individuals will sort of lay up all over the place and they'll spread out. Slowly but surely they all start to catch up and trying to detect any signs. The only signs we can tell are elephants and a very annoyed blacksmith lapwing. Lisa, they are beautiful animals, lions. They might smell quite funny sometimes due to what they eat, but I do like spending time with them. the power that they exude. They are elegant, they're very agile. To enjoy spending time with lions, because you can follow them sometimes easier than you can leopards. I do love leopards, but I've spent, I think, probably more time with lions in my career than I have with leopards. I'm saying that since I've been here at Djuma, I've spent an enormous amount of time with leopard, more so than ever before. Okay, well, Tristan has left Chitwa. He's on his way home slowly this way. I wonder what he's going to encounter along the way.
Well, I think, Steve, we can safely assume I've definitely spent more time with leopards in general than with lions. Opposite of Steve, even when I was guiding, I think I spent more time with leopards, and that's mostly due to the fact that my guiding career has been spent mostly in the Sabi Sands, which is a little leopard hotspot. It's not to say I haven't spent a lot of time with lions, I most certainly have, but I think it's probably more with leopards, and since I've been at WildEarth, it's probably 90% of what I spend my time with is them, or looking for them, and other animals are on the journey to find them, much like this afternoon. It's been, kind of came out to look for them, but we've had so much more in the form of birds and chitwa dam and ellies and just general good stuff. Unfortunately, those guinea fowls are alarm calling right in the center of the lodge. There's not really anything I can do about it. I suspect that it's Tundi's cub. Personally, is what I think. I know he was on the deck the other day, and so I suspect that it's him that's just milling about while Mom is away. I mean, there's no way to really tell, and it's not even any point going walking to check, because ultimately what am I achieving? Nothing really. All I'm going to be doing is, one, chasing him, and two, satisfying my own ego, which is a common problem sometimes out in guiding circles, is that sometimes guys do things just to satisfy their ego rather than what's for the better of the animal, and it's a very bad trait that is sometimes even taught to guides. But yeah, often it's just about letting the animals have their time to themselves. If they don't want to be seen, they don't want to be seen. Especially in conditions like this, you can't off-road. Leave the animals. If they don't want to be on the road, they're not going to be on the road. If they are on the road, then wonderful. And like Steve's got the lions, really cool. We've had the ellies, but it's no point in pressurizing animals more than we already do. We spend a large portion of our time looking for these animals, being around them, and we've got to be thankful for the fact that they allow that. And when it does come times like this, it's almost like nature's break, or nature's way of just breaking everything up a little bit and just being like, you know what, let's hit the pause button, let's refresh, let everyone have a few days to themselves, and then we start again. That's how it kind of feels. So I think it's sometimes you got to know when to just choose your battles and when not to, and leaving a leopard into a camp like that and kind of letting it do its own thing is the right way to go. Even if we were to be able to get a car there, which we're not allowed, it wouldn't be great either way. He's obviously in there for a reason if it is him, and that's to try and have some sort of safety. So you've got to respect that option. Alright, so we're going to head slowly back towards Djuma. I'm not really sure where I'm going to go. I think I'm just going to bumble straight down the center of Djuma and hope for the best. Those male leopard tracks I had this morning, they cut off into an area which is still not open, so not going to really bother going up there, given that I can't drive where the tracks go. So I'm going to just drive down the middle and hope for a little Kalamba surprise or I don't know, maybe Tswalu will pop out western side of quarantine somewhere. Long overdue Hukamuri sightings. You never know, maybe he's on the access road. So I'll just scratch around there and see how it goes. Colleen, no, I haven't heard anything to say that he definitely has fathered a cub yet. I know he has mated, but I haven't heard anything to say that there's definite evidence of any cubs that he potentially has. We would know, but it's going to be difficult. Oh, that's not ideal. I was just about to say, I don't have any lights on for a reason. The insects tonight are absolutely ridiculous. And I just had an insect fly straight into my eyeball. Hopefully it's not stuck in there. Sometimes they get stuck in there and cause eye infections. It's not very fun. But if it's going to be very difficult to get updates on him now. The Sand River is completely flooded. So he's on the northern side of the river, which means no one's going to access that for a good few weeks. So, yeah, I mean, I think we're going to have a few days of very little Hosanna news. But he's doing well. He's healthy, big, happy, seemingly doing just fine, and hopefully there will be some cubs soon. I don't know how many females he's actually got access to. I know that there's definitely one that he's mating with, and I think there's another one that he sometimes is covering, but there's not a huge density of females as far as I understand it. I might be completely wrong in talking out of turn, and I will try and investigate a little bit more, but the last time I was there, which was a year ago, there wasn't that many females moving up in that part of the world, and so you have huge amounts to cover. It's not like here at the moment, you know, he is spoiled right now because he's got Kuchava, Sabui, Tandi, soon to be Tlalamba, Shadulu, Tini, Kara, potentially could even get to Tiani and Moya, Saseka. I mean, that's 10 female leopards just here. Not without Langa, you know, Langa will be around at some point, so there's a lot going on for Mulawati as opposed for Puasana. He needs to find himself a few more ladies in his area.
Welcome back. You haven't missed much. 2 lionesses are still up. The rest are flat once again. There's a beautiful downward facing dog. The lion, yes. They're looking off into the distance. I don't know what they can see. I can't see anything. There was some impala in that general area earlier. Their nighttime vision far surpasses that of ours. And we've moved to the infrared spectrum. We've got no lights on, so we're not looking in that direction with any lights to see. But it's a nice open area, and lions can see quite far. How far exactly, I couldn't tell you. They detect movement very well in the dark, and shapes and outlines. You see that tail is going, this way, that way, this way. And she's either going to plump herself down now with the rest of the pride, or they will get up and move with her. 2 options. She's looking down. She's looking down. We've all seen our dogs do this. There we go. There's my spot. Still interested though. And this is one of lions' strengths, is the fact that they can move around. No one's really going to concern a pride of lion like this, so they can properly just nap. But then they're very alert to anything that pops up. So they could just be sleeping here, taking it really easy, and any other animal could be moving through and they would fall victim. So the pride's very easily able to span out and move in different directions at a different time, and it's how prides of lion have been successful over the years. Their ability to mass communicate or to group. It's where leopards have to be much more stealthy to get closer, to be successful. If they miss, generally that prey animal is gone. Whereas lions have a few more catches and a few more options when it comes to surrounding or directing the prey. It's been a while since we've had a kill on quarantine that I've physically seen. It's been some time. Last year, Christmas before last. Oh, elephants. Really not happy. Off to our right-hand side. Some proper rumbles going on there. Kylie, the tails have a life of their own. It definitely is something that happens when they start getting more active, is the tail. But when they are dead flat in the heat of the day, the tail does sort of lose a little bit of its life, but every now and again flicks. They do attract a host of flies due to their smell. And flies are constantly trying to bite them. Can you see now why we don't go walking at night? No. Katswain, if anything, the full moon adds light, which makes it more difficult for the lions to hunt. Lions and predators do much better or should I say lions and leopards do much better when it's darker. Your prey animals can see. Even I can see in the darkness when the full moon is up because it adds an enormous amount of light. So you'll often find that when it's light like this or when it's full moon, you often have predators behaving in a way of territorial sort of dominance, re-establishing territory, doing lots of calling because their ability to hunt is diminished. It doesn't mean that they can't hunt. If they stand in the right place and they chase animals in the right direction, it can work. But animals are far better able to see, prey animals that is, in the moon. That lioness is making me yawn. They're not that hungry, everybody, but yet they still are showing interest. I suppose that's what they do. Gets to that time of day, it's time to move. They've been in the same place for a few days now. They're getting a bit antsy. That one who's just yawned twice should get up imminently or start grooming, applying some makeup for the evening's party or event. SP, I'm not sure. It's possible. I think mosquitoes, surely they can't just be out there to annoy myself and Theo. They must be out there to feed on other animals. But lions are obviously quite furry. So it's hard for me to say if they are biting as well. If they do bite them as well. I've never seen a mosquito biting a fly, but they're so small. Definitely are biting a fly, biting a lion. There definitely are many insects and organisms that do bite wild animals. And it might be one of the reasons why they've developed fur. Or a thick hide. They're always little soft bits. I don't know if you can hear those elephants, but they are not happy. Tristan is on his way home. He shouldn't come up Philemon's dip. Shouldn't come over Philemon's dip. He should find an alternative route back. But it sounds like he's caught up with a nocturnal owl.
Luckily, I'm not in that area now. It is very dark, I know, but there is a spotted eagle owl, and it sounds like a young one. It's chirping away. You hear it every now and then. It's screaming. It's almost like it's begging for food. Unfortunately, I can't get any closer because it's going to fly away out of the road. And, you know, we're trying not to blind it with a heavy amount of light, and the only lights I've got is a very, very, very bright light. But this is a very common behavior for spotted eagle owls. Why are you walking? While it's running away from us, I'll just put my light on a little bit just so you can see it a bit better. I think it's feeding on all the little winged allets. I hope it's not a young bird that is struggling to fly, because there's not a road for it to be on, although the reserve is very quiet today, which is a good thing. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer. Hold on. I'm going to just turn my light off so it is going to go dark, and then I'm going to try and just get slightly closer to it and see if by some miracle it doesn't fly away. No, there it goes. It's going to just keep flying down the road, unfortunately. But it's just, I can't get close enough for the infrared to actually work properly. I'm pretty sure it's feeding off these little insects on the edge of the road. It'll also hunt little frogs. It doesn't look like a young bird. What's that on the right-hand side? Is there something on the right-hand side that it's looking at, or is it just its shadow? Looks like something moving on the right-hand side, or am I wrong? What is that? I don't know, there was something moving there that I was watching for a second, and it's now trotted off. Can't see anything. Oh, there it goes. Is there something? What is that? Maybe a snake of sorts? Let me just try to get a little bit closer quickly. There goes another owl. I just saw another one fly over the road, another spotted eagle owl. So there's obviously a pair here. I wonder if this is the chick that's going on its like nuptial flights. I can't see anything. So I know it looks really dark for all of you guys, but there's actually quite a bit of light for us here to see. I don't see anything in this particular area. Maybe it was a little snaky and it just heard us coming and has slithered off into the grass. But I can't see anything. I think this is a young owl. I don't think this is an adult. I think this is a little juvenile that's going on its first flights, spending its time on the road for the, you know, they often are on this road. We used to have a pair here many years ago. Unfortunately, they disappeared, but this, I think, is a youngster. We know that a lot of them were breeding already early in the summer, so around, October, November, December, So it could easily be a fully fledged bird. It's definitely shouting, and normally adults don't make a noise. It's almost like it's begging for food, so it's trying to ask its parents to come. And you see it doesn't fly far, it just flies a short little way and then lands again, and then actually walks a lot. And we know a lot of these guys are born on the ground, or the eggs are laid on the ground, so maybe it's just more comfortable on the ground than in the air. All right, well, we'll try and get around it without disturbing it, and we'll turn off all the lights and just slowly go past. In the meantime, let's send you across to Steve and the lions.
Well done, Tristan. Nice to get an owl. I know you were looking for a wood owl earlier, but spotted eagle owl will do. So one of the lionesses has walked past us. The rest are trying to figure out whether it's worth the energy to get up and to follow. After all the food, you'd think these lions would be up for a bit of a march. They really haven't walked very far in 3 days. Nothing like a good walk after a big meal.
This is fascinating. I'm going to keep quiet so you can hear it calling. Can you hear the response? Both parents have flown across the road. I watched both parents fly off from where this one landed. It's calling and the parents are responding. Look, there's the other adult. Or is that one of the chicks too? And maybe it's another chick. It also looks quite young, that bird. It's got a kill as well, the one on top. Can't see exactly what it's eating, but there's definitely something there. Let's see if the other adult arrives. It's actually an adult, that one on the top left. It's a little chick is the one on the bottom right. A mouse or something that just got swallowed. Such a cool owl sighting. Can you hear those little pitiful cries? There goes the little one back down to the ground again. Adult is talking back to the little one as if to say, why have you landed? Oh no, it tried to perch and the branch broke. But they're now on the road together in front of me. But there is a third one. I definitely saw another one fly just now. We had two in a row flying. Are they catching winged allets? It's exactly what they're catching at the moment. I think our lights are helping them. They're getting massive amounts of food because of the lights and all the insects that are coming to the lights. Amazing sighting. All right, well, we'll sit with them for a little bit, see if the other one comes down and we get all three in the road together.
Lions all over the road. They're all looking in so many different directions. It's hard to really know what it is that they're looking at. I had a little brief scan with the spotlight a moment ago. I wasn't able to see anything. Then remember, the grass is fairly short. I mean long. Are they still interested in those elephants? A young boy with an injury to his nose. I would be very surprised if we find these fellows again in this area tomorrow. I'm sure they will have moved off. Where to exactly? It's very hard for me to say. We'll be out and about to track them though. Those of you who might be late to the show today, the Talamati Pride. We've been with him a large portion of the afternoon. They haven't gotten up to too much. They love to wait for the show to end before they get up to all their antics. And tonight, I think, is going to be one of those nights. It has been wonderful to be out again under the blue sky with the sunshine. Some wonderful elephants. And the lions doing their thing. Elephants seem to be, sounds like they're on their way to the water from the other side of us, but we do thank you for your comments and questions this afternoon. We do look forward to hosting you from the variety of locations in the morning. We hope you have a splendid evening further. Until then, have a good evening. See you tomorrow morning. Good night and goodbye.